So, we are going to be watching some stuff, and while we are watching some stuff and reacting to it, I will also be drawing at the exact same time. Unfortunately, you will not be able to see what I'm drawing because the video will be the most important thing that we are looking at, but I have drawn enough porn in like 3 or so days. I don't want to draw any porn right now. So don't worry, I'm not drawing anything lewd. It's just completely safe for work stuff. And if anyone wants to try and doubt me on that shit, I can pull up my tablet if anyone wants to ask. Anyway, let's get the biggest one out of the way. The biggest video that I have that I want to watch. It's Muujin! We love a good compiled ass video that I actually am interested in. Because I've heard snippets of the bullshit that's gone down in Love and Deepspace because of like they added a new character and the girls in China. My knowledge on Love and Deepspace is just I know it exists and that's it. I don't know where it I don't know where the company comes from. I don't know where the company resides, but the people in the original place, they did not like this new guy. They were like, he looks too Western. He looks too Western. We're gonna threaten your entire company. We want more content of our original boys that already exist. We're gonna threaten your company. Like, girl, chill. Holy shit! Let's enjoy it while we can. Yeah.
If I had $1 for every time a Chinese gacha game player showed up to the development studio...
I was right!
If I had $1 for every time a Chinese gacha game player showed up to the development studio of their favorite game while holding a knife with the intention of assassinating staff there, then I'd be at least $2 rich.
Girl, I meant death threats as in, like, text shit. You know how those pathetic people send text death threats to other users online? I meant like that. I didn't mean an actual real-life death threat. What the fuck?
Sure. And what's crazy here is that this second dollar would be given to me as recently as June 2026, when that exact thing happened. But as a bonus, it also came bundled with a package of literal cow shit, vandalism, and a large...
Where the fuck do you get cow shit from? Hello? Motherfucker had to go out into the fields, the farms for that shit.
Police response. Love in Deepspace is the most successful female targeting gacha game of all time. Easily able to earn tens of millions of dollars on any given month of the year. They were, without exaggeration, on top
of... armpit, good sir. Were you sniffing Fi armpit? The fuck was that?
Millions of dollars on any given month of...
Stop sniffing the armpit. Does this motherfucker have a scent kink? Goddamn. I'm learning more about these motherfuckers every day, it seems.
The year. They were, without exaggeration, on top of the world with no competition whatsoever until one day they'd decide to shoot themselves in the foot with a fully loaded shotgun.
Holy shit!
1 week after announcing the biggest update the game has had in a very long time, they'd do something unprecedented, going back on their word and canceling the entire update. The immeasurable disappointment their community felt would spark one of the biggest and most impressive global efforts in gacha game history, uniting people all across the globe to buy up entire city billboards, donating hundreds of thousands of dollars to charity, and even convincing Queso, of all people, to spread awareness about this.
How the fuck did they convince Queso? I don't even think he knows what it is. Does this amazing man, look at this amazing man, this is like peak male. This is peak male. Everything about Queso is peak male. Does this man know anything about Love and Deepspace? How the fuck did they convince this man?
Injustice. And bear in mind, this is all truly nothing more than the tip of this iceberg. as it's easily one of the most complex topics I have ever
Yeah,
covered on
cow
this channel.
shit.
But it's not like I had a choice, seeing that my own community had left over 14,000 messages about this topic in my Discord server,
Jesus
and even went as far as
fucking Christ.
compiling an amazing Google Doc about it. And so, why
Praise them for the Google Docky. We shall praise them for the Google Docky. But can we acknowledge the amount of fucking messages in that goddamn form? Holy shit! How bad was that? It's literally 14,529 messages. We got 31 reacts to this forum of just people going, what the fuck? What the fuck are we looking at, dude?
Server, and even went as far as compiling an amazing Google
Praise
Doc
the
about
Google
it.
Docky.
And so, why did this money printing machine decide to destroy itself? And how did this become a worldwide phenomenon? Well, without further ado, let's do this. Alright, so most people agree that the first gacha game came out in 2010 and was developed by Konami. It was called Dragon Collection. The best way to describe it was kind of like a knockoff Pokemon, where
for context, I did not have a good childhood growing up. This does not sound familiar at all. If this was like a really big deal back then, if this was like a popular game back then, I've never heard of it. Ever. This is literally my first time hearing it.
you went from dungeon to dungeon and collected as many monsters as possible. And in between certain levels, you'd receive a luck-based treasure chest that has the ability of giving you some really rare items that can boost your stats like crazy. And if you wanted to open more of these treasure chests now without having to go through other levels, then you could pay money to buy them. This simple mechanic that wasn't really popular at the time would change Konami forever. By 2012, their console game sales were slipping, but their social games on social platforms like Gree, meant to be played on mobile like Dragon Collection, were defying every single expectation. By 2012, Konami's net income was up 80% thanks to this game and other games on social platforms. And this made other developers, of course, take notice. Why is Konami making so much money? How can we incorporate this into our games? And so, gacha would start to take over Japan. But it would remain in Japan for a while because, well, the entire concept was from there. The word gacha comes from the word gachapon, which is essentially a vending machine that you can find in many different places in Japan,
look cool.
with each one having a different themed set of toys, figurines,
Technically, we could use this word. Gachapons, in a way, do exist in, I shit you not, the Tesco near me. The nearest Tesco to me. Yes, I'm UK. Shut up. The nearest Tesco to me literally has, by definition, a gachapon, but borderline no one uses it. But it still gets, like, its stock rechanged and stuff like that, so, like, to a degree, someone's using it.
keychains, etc. And after placing money in it, essentially buying a pull, you'd be receiving something randomly from that set. Now, of course, some items in that set will have a very low drop rate, making them rare and very sought after. And the whole point is to keep buying pulls until you get what you want. And that's kind of how gacha games work. Now, as I said, gacha games would remain niche and would be mostly focused on Japan for the longest time. But this, of course, would all change in 2020 when Genshin Impact would come out and bring gacha into the mainstream. Now, of course, it was helped quite a bit by releasing mid-pandemic as everyone was locked up in their homes, but one could argue that the reason why it succeeded so well was because it felt like a full-fledged game.
Put me to the stake. Execute my booty cheeks if need be. But I fucking hate Genshin Impact. Oh no, someone's got an opinion and it's not mine. Oh no, someone's got a negative opinion about it. They're the worst person on humanity. Oh no! Anyway, I don't like Genshin Impact at all. I just don't like it. I don't like the game. And I don't like the designs. The designs are overly complex for no fucking reason. I fucking hate them. As someone who has trouble drawing super complex designs, I fucking hate these designs because half of them do not make any fucking sense. I could go into a rant, but I need more knowledge on Genshin, and I don't have enough knowledge on Genshin to do a whole fucking rant. Also, I don't have enough sanity for that. I'm literally getting a psychiatrist next month, hopefully. I'm talking to one anyway. Dude, I don't got the fucking sanity for Genshin Impact. And then I've got an ex-friend who definitely did not help with the Genshin Impact bullshit. They were a Genshin fanatic. I think so far I've drawn 2 Genshin Impact characters. One for a raffle prize and one for an art trade. And both of them were self-ship. Like, Yumi self-ship stuff. So I was like, yeah, sure, I can do it. If that's your, like, little ship thingy, I can do that. It'll make you feel happy. Make you better. I gotta support self-shippers, yeah. But, I've drawn 2 characters from Genshin Impact. And my ex-friend just fucking lost it on me because I didn't draw them right. Because, okay. So the first one I drew, white-haired lady. She's very, very, popular. I, never remember her name, but from other people, apparently her name is Farina? I think so. Farina, a very popular white-haired girl in the game. She has a super fucking complex hat, and when I was drawing the prize raffle, Farina was in it, and I was like, I'm not drawing her hat for my sanity. So I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna draw this hat. Fuck it. We're removing Farina's hat. Fuck it. For my sanity, that hat does not exist on her head. And when I gave the finished piece to the winner, I was like, I removed her hat for my sanity, and they were like, yeah, that's fine, you can do that. And they were very happy about the final prize. But when I showed my ex-friend, I was like, you like Genshin? Look what I drew. I drew a Genshin character for the first time. I hate drawing these characters, but I did it. They went off on me because I didn't add Farina's hat, and it's just like, girl, this isn't for you. Shut up. Why are you so bad? And then the other time, I don't even know this dude's name, but it was a blonde-haired dude, and I don't know this guy's name at all. It was for the art trade, and the person who gave me the reference for this dude only gave me the front reference. And when I was drawing him, I actually put him as a back view because the pose I was doing had the blonde-haired dude at the back view instead. And I was like, oh shit, I don't have a reference for what this dude looks like at the back. We're gonna just raw dog it, I guess. We're just gonna fuck it, we ball it. So I gave this dude the feather in his hair, and I was like, okay, we're gonna put his blonde hair to his shoulders, make it flow a little bit. I don't know what his hair looks like at the back, but fuck it, we will. Apparently, this dude had like some pin in the back of his hair that kept it up, and I didn't know this at all. And then I show the artwork to the person that art traded it. That I'd art traded with. I was like, I don't know what he looked like at the back. And this was during the work in progress phase. They were like, yeah, I'm fine with it. I like how it looks. And I was like, yay! I have no idea what this dude looks like from the back. They're good with it. But when I showed my ex-friend the finished piece, they went off on me for not knowing that this dude had like a pin or something in the back of his hair that kept it up, and I'm like, are you gonna get that fucking mad over a pin in the back of his hair not being there? You on drugs? For better context, like I said, I don't like drawing overly complex character designs like Genshin Impact and some Date Everything characters. I just don't like how overly complex they are, and for my sanity and how my art style works, a lot of the detail would be just missing. But also, I just don't want to break my sanity drawing shit like that. But my ex-friend draws Genshin characters so fucking often, they know how to draw them very well. The last time I spoke to them. Do you see the thing? They're hating on me for not drawing Genshin characters often because I don't like drawing overly complex designs, but they're used to drawing the overly complex designs, and then they start going fucking apeshit on me for checks, pouch notes. Removing a hat and not knowing a pin was in a dude's hair. That was one of the reasons I'm no longer a friend with them. The other reason that really broke the camel's back is a completely different story, let me tell you. But that's not for today. Sorry for the side tangent, but just seeing Genshin just reminded me of that. Also, my ex-friend is the reason why I hate Tenna from Deltarune right now. I mean, I like his character design, it's just that every time I see that motherfucker, I just get reminded of my fucking psycho ex-friend. Go away! No one likes you!
With gacha mechanics, rather than gacha mechanics with a game built around it. Due to all these elements combined, it still holds the Guinness World Record for fastest mobile game to reach $1 billion in revenue, achieving this feat in 178 days. And just to really illustrate how crazy this was, the previous record holder for this Guinness World Record was Pokemon Go. And that's not all, because Genshin Impact also holds another Guinness World Record, the fastest mobile game to reach $5 billion, which was held by Clash of Clans.
Whoa!
And while it did rewrite certain expectations for gacha games, it didn't really rewrite the demographics that it was targeting.
Not Clash of Clans.
Gacha games have always been about targeting the single male with disposable income. One look at the characters that you can spend money on in some of the most popular gacha games in existence, and you understand very quickly that the targeted demographic has not changed. You don't even need to take my word for it. The CEO of Hoyoverse, the developer behind Genshin Impact, would, as far back as 2011, talk about this topic to investors. He'd say that the otaku have been suffering from huge psychological pressure and that they hope that they can play their games easily so that they can enjoy this feeling of being saved. He would then say that the games that they're making were specifically made for touchable devices because of a fairly innovative feature they came up with, which is the touch feature. Yep, it's fairly straightforward. This was for one of their first major games called Honkai Impact, and you could pretty much touch the very hot women they can pull for, and they'll react to it, which will also increase your friendship level with them, just like real life. But if you've played gacha games, if you've come across this logic, then you must have taken a step back at some point and asked yourself, yeah, I get it, the established demographic is men, but what about women? Yes, there's a lot of men that are lonely out there that would want companionship from a hot waifu, but let's not pretend that women don't want the same thing. I mean, come on, have you seen some of the books that some women read? One could argue that in some cases, they're even freakier than men.
Jesus.
So where were the gacha games that were catering to their needs?
Top comment.
Because they also had disposable income, and it seemed like no one was tapping into that. At least, not successfully. You see, there's always been a type of game that's existed since the early 2000s called an otome game, a story-based romance video game targeted towards women. Yes, these games would be monetized. They had varying degrees of success, but they were also extremely niche, never able to truly reach a mainstream audience. There would be multiple attempts by multiple developers to make a gacha game centered around the otome genre, but none would truly stand out. For example, even Hoyoverse, before releasing Genshin Impact, would release a game called Tears of Themis, targeting the female demographic specifically while incorporating a gacha system around it. And guess what? It didn't really work out that well. It had released in China in July of 2020 and then globally on July 2021, and honestly, the revenue right now is so low that it can barely make a dent in their other titles. Like, it can't even make 10% of what Genshin Impact or Honkai Star Rail are making right now. And so the logic was, for many developers, that if even Hoyoverse can't make a successful otome game targeting the female demographic, then who can? Well, that's where the developer Paper Games came in. Now here's the deal. Paper Games has been around for a while. Their first game came out in December 2012 in China. It was called Nikki Up to You, A Dressing Story, and from day one, they were targeting women. This was a dress-up game that was made for them. By 2015, they would release another game called Love Nikki, and for the first time would expand into Japan.
Yeah, Love Nikki sounds familiar.
In 2017, they would start taking a step in other directions by releasing the game Mr. Love Queen's Choice, a fairly standard 2D otome game. Now yes, it would be niche and would be fairly successful, but more importantly, it would teach them priceless lessons for their magnum opus, a game that would change everything for them and the industry. In 2020, Paper Games would release a teaser trailer for their upcoming game called Love and Deepspace. And for any fans of otome games, for any women out there that were hoping for a next generation experience, this caused a massive earthquake. This was the first 3D otome game to ever exist, and at this level of insane quality. No one had done this before. No one was crazy enough to even come up with this idea. This shook the entire industry to its core, and many were very interested to see how it would end up performing once it would finally release. Here's the problem though. There was no release date whatsoever. They just dropped this teaser, created a massive earthquake in the industry, and just left. They would literally disappear, and people wouldn't hear any updates from them for years. That would be the reality until 2023, when something would finally come out from the studio, but it wasn't good news at all. News outlets would report that Paper Games was about to take on a loan of $70 million.
Jesus fucking... I just spat all over my tablet. Oh my god. Jesus fucking Christ, man. the equivalent of $70 million for this game. Fuck me in the ass.
What was really interesting here is that the person giving them that loan was Hoyoverse, the creators of Genshin Impact. It turned out that Paper Games had overextended itself and was developing too many titles at once and ran out of money. So they asked Hoyoverse for a loan and Hoyoverse gave it. But the collateral was really interesting. If Paper Games had failed to pay Hoyoverse back their money by the agreed upon date, then Hoyoverse would get 10% of Paper Games' share, effectively owning 10% of the entire company. At the time, people didn't really know what to think. This was a massive loan, and Paper Games was not making anywhere near close that money. What people didn't know, though, was that the plan was simple. Internally, they were hoping to repay this loan by releasing Love and Deepspace. They were banking everything on the success of that game, and it was about to come out on January 2024. However, even with so much riding on this game's success, no one, whether it be from the staff or the executive team or the CEO himself, could have ever predicted the ridiculous success that this game would find all across the globe. This game's impact on the otome game genre was like what Genshin Impact did for gacha games. In 2024, Paper Games made over $1 billion, and you bet your ass that they repaid Hoyoverse every single dollar of that loan amount.
I'm glad they did that.
It had done what so many others had attempted to do but failed, bringing this genre to the mainstream and incorporating gacha mechanics within it too. But why? What was the secret formula that no one else understood?
Pussy!
Well, for many men, the attraction to gacha games was about having a power fantasy, collecting sexy and strong characters that will progress through a story that centers around them. Thing is though, women don't really want that. Love and Deepspace offered them something different. A game centered around being individually known and cared for. It played more like a 3D dating simulator that caters to your needs. Like a genuine routine that becomes a part of your day rather than just a traditional gacha game. And here's how it would do that. The game would initially release with 3 different love interests. Zane, Raphael, and Xavier. And Silas would release right after, with Caleb joining the rest of the cast in 2025. There would be a million different ways of being able to interact with them in-game, making them truly feel like, well, they're real. While you're in-game, they would call you through a video call, you'd be able to text them, and sometimes...
Dude, I'd cry. I'd scream and cry in fear if that happened to me. Like, imagine you're playing a game and you, like, put down your phone for a bit and then they just start fucking calling you. I'd just be like, what the fuck? They know where I live. They know my phone number. I'm gonna die.
I mean, this is a Silas thing, but he would call you his kitten. When it would be your birthday, they would all individually take the time to celebrate it and would sing you happy birthday or do some other things for you.
Sweet.
And of course, you could go on dates with them, spending quality time while able to do a variety of different activities together. But I feel like what would really take it to the next level was how developers would keep adding features that made this game a part of your daily routine. Other gachas asked you to log in every day to get rewards, but here, you were being asked to log in to make your life easier. Like for example, look at this feature called Remind Me, where you'd get a notification on your phone from your favorite love interest, reminding you of something important to you, like, I don't know, someone's birthday, or the fact that you have an important meeting coming up. And there'd be this other feature that would come out as well that you might have heard of.
Okay, the Remind Me thing is, like, actually kind of cute. Because, like, I know some people cannot be reminded with, like, simple alarms or shit like that. So, like, having to be reminded by, like, your favorite fictional character crush would, like, your fictional partner would, honestly, kind of cute.
Called the Period Tracker. Now look, there are a lot of period tracker apps out there for women to keep track of their periods. But Love and Deepspace was like, you know what, dude? This game is a part of your daily routine, so might as well have that feature too. So when you would get close to your period or your first day of your period would arrive, you'd have your favorite love interest point that out and vow to take care of you.
Yo, your pussy bleeding, girl. Let me get you some snacks. Your pussy be bleeding out chunks right now, girly pop. Do you want some chalky? Do you want some chalky milk?
While giving you extra attention while you deal with cramps from the 7th circle of hell.
Aww.
Now, interestingly enough, this whole period tracker thing was some sort of a Twitter controversy when it came out back in early 20...
I'm sorry, that's kind of funny. Period trackers are for good. I'm sorry, why does that question make me laugh so hard? The parent trackers of Agunas. How the fuck? How the fuck would a period tracker be sexual? It's literally just a bodily function. That's a funny question to ask. The last one is even more funnier. Why men are losing it over love and deep space. Let's chat. I'm so sorry. This entire title is just so funny because it's like the men are losing it because those are probably the men that are really, really fucking shit people. That are like, this woman doesn't want me. Where? Fucking hear it, bitch! The men are just like, oh my god, this game has a parent tracker in it. That's a sexual reason. That's a sexual reason. And the men that say that are also the same type of men that go, I don't give a fuck about women, periods. I'm not gonna comfort them. I think that you can just hiss out the period or just hold it in. That's the same type of men that would be complaining about period trackers in any form of way.
25. Some people would call Love in Deepspace a gooner game for having a period tracker, but that's just Twitter being Twitter. Because if you're going to call this a gooner game, might as well talk about the scenes where you're being figuratively railed.
No!
That's right, let's talk about monetization. How was this a gacha game? Well, you weren't pulling for the characters. You'd be pulling for something called memories. You meet the characters through the main story. So in other words, they'd be available to you for free. But memories are these special 3D cutscenes where you interact with these different love interests and, well, end up doing a lot of raunchy.
My good sir, I mean this in the best way possible. What the fuck are you wearing during sex? What is on your face that's gonna injure you so badly during sex? And this is coming from someone who's never had sex before. That's gonna hurt you, good sir. Other than that, holy shit, great sex outfit.
Things. Yes, these can get really spicy. And it really caught me by surprise. I wasn't expecting.
If there are dicks and pussies in these scenes, I will clap. I'm not gonna go and actually get the game. I'm just gonna clap.
This level of raunchiness when I streamed this game for the shits and giggles back in 2024 with the streamer Box 2.
Wait, am I giving him a lap dance? What's going on right now?
Oh my god!
Dude, what is this? We
He's
just get a free
sweating! Bro, goddamn!
We're literally fucking.
What's happening?
Is that my tits?
Hey, yeah, that's your leg. That's your leg. Hey, man.
Okay.
Holy mother was sweating and man. Hey.
Oh, no.
Oh, we're not done.
Open your legs, bro.
Yeah, it was definitely unexpected on my end. So essentially, this is what people spend their money on, okay? Of course, seeing that this is a free-to-play game, you can earn this currency for free by playing, but many would choose to spend money because other than these raunchy cutscenes, you'd also be unlocking outfits for these love interests as well as gear that would make you more powerful for story combat sequences because this is an action game at the end of the day as well. All these elements combined would make this game one of the most successful gacha games of all time. Other developers in the industry would be so impressed that they would ask team members from Paper Games to conduct workshops or presentations talking about the logic and strategy behind making this behemoth. Like this presentation that was conducted back in March 2026 in the Game Developers Conference. It will be called Designing Crush-Worthy Characters in Love in Deepspace. This would be fascinating because in this presentation, the lead character designer would describe how the team—
That is a sentence because I find none of these men attractive. Though, to be fair, my type of men is— well, my type of fictional men is, something. So, I'm definitely not the demographic for these men. But yeah, this sentence is funny because I find none of these men attractive. None of them are attractive to me.
Team designed characters that millions of players became emotionally attached to. This emotional attachment would be why this game would make so much money. The women playing this game would sometimes spend money when they already had a good enough amount of currency. And they had two main reasons to do so. Number one, they were absolutely in love with a love interest in the game and they want to spoil them. And number two, they want to support the developer. This is not a mentality that you see for many things. Many women genuinely wanted Paper Games to make more money so that they can continue updating the game because no one else had ever made a game like this. And before you knew it, this game was competing head-to-head with the giants of gacha such as Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. By mid-2024, it was making tens of millions of dollars per month. So as I said, it was no wonder that Paper Games made over $1 billion in 2024, while also becoming the #1 highest earning app on the Chinese App Store, which is a very big deal.
God
But by
damn.
the end of 2024, they would take it another step further, incorporating something that's not really present in mainstream gacha games like Love and Deepspace: VIP services. You would become a VIP if you spend a minimum of $690. And as soon as you reach tier 2, which starts at
$690. Nice.
$100, you would receive gift boxes sent to your address. They'd have special merch and other little goodies.
Oh,
And when
damn.
you get to the VIP 2 tier, you start getting personalized gift boxes sent to your address, with more exclusive items signed by your love interest in-game once you reach higher tiers, with some being at a minimum of 5 fucking figures. Look at how many people
Jesus.
on the Love and Deepspace subreddit would post when they got VIP, like it's a celebration. And you know what's even crazier?
I mean,
These
yeah,
prices that I
kinda.
just showed you are exclusive to the Chinese server, taking into consideration their local purchasing power. But outside of the Chinese, Japanese, and South Korean servers, it has been reported, like in this thread right here, that the minimum for global players to become VIP is to spend around $6,000. Almost 10 times the Chinese
Oh,
minimum.
shittings.
That is a lot of money. By March 2025, Love and Deepspace would start outgrossing Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail,
Lol,
Wuthering Waves, Uma
Lemao
Musume, and
even.
just about any other gacha. The CEO of Paper Games was hailed as a genius, and he would become a billionaire. He'd be interviewed by so many different publications, and he'd say that the reason for his success was simple, specifying, it's not that women don't like to play games, but there are no good games for women to play. He'd also point out that when it came to Paper Games, 70% of their workforce is female. So he wasn't necessarily the genius here, it was the team behind this game. For one of the first times ever,
The team was like, we are women, we know what we want, hear us out. And he heard them out.
he had a high-budget game for women, made by women in the otome genre. And that's what so many other game companies were missing. That's why games like Tears of Themis just couldn't really hit the mark. And this is how Love and Deepspace became a worldwide phenomenon, with billboards even popping up in Times Square. I mean, it was
Okay, we got the goose. We got the juicy shit out the way, now give us the drama.
become such a phenomenon that you'd have media publications like Reuters making mini documentaries about how this game took over women's love lives. Listen to how they would describe it.
Chinese civil servant Zhou is in a 6-month relationship with her first boyfriend. He's a wavy-haired, handsome painter. He's also fictional. Qi Yu is one of 5 romantic interests to choose from in Love and Deepspace, the world's biggest mobile dating game with some 80 million users, according to research firm Sensor Tower.
80 million users. That is an insane amount of users. But yeah, this app did such a good job of incorporating itself into your daily routine that it kind of made it meaningless for many women to even seek out a boyfriend. It was that crazy. There'd also be a couple different documentaries by the publication South China Morning Post. In one of them, they talk about women that would specifically hire cosplayers to dress up as their love interest from Love and Deepspace and go out on dates with them. And in another, they would do the same thing as Reuters. Talk about how some women were replacing real-life men with, well, Love and Deepspace love interests. Such massive success comes with its own fair share of critics. And by 2025, you'd have multiple media publications come up with a narrative that it's because of games like this, these otome games, that birth rates were declining. A lot of criticism would be directed towards the game and the women that were playing it.
Dude, have you seen the amount of motherfucking people there are on Earth? I'm glad that the birth rates are declining. There's too many fucking people on this planet.
Some of these women would start blaming incel culture for this, while others would point out that it's just simply because it's popular. This new dynamic would lead to some nasty fights within the gacha community, like how, for example, on the Chinese internet, some Love and Deepspace fans would go head-to-head with Snowbreak Containment Zone fans, a game that heavily targeted the male demographic. Things got very nasty there, and I would need to make a whole video to do it justice. But it did end with the government intervening and pretty much censoring the hell out of Snowbreak.
The
But it's just an example
government?
to illustrate to you how this huge wave of attention that this game got didn't only bring positives to the community. However, as long as the developer could keep
government?
the Love and Deepspace community satisfied, nothing could stand in the way of this money-printing behemoth. But with so much attention and expectations aimed towards this game, and with so much money being made, as time went on, it seemed like Paper Games was simply not prepared to blow up that much. And that lack of preparation gave them many more problems with their own community than they could have ever bargained for. So remember how I said that this game was all
I'm gonna be honest though, I don't think anyone ever plans to blow up that fucking bigly, no matter
about how
what.
it made its own audience feel like they're being individually known and cared for? Well, it wasn't just the game doing this, it was the developer too. Here are some examples. Throughout the year, there will be multiple time-limited events in the game, like other gacha games. And whenever that would happen, they would take the opportunity to make these educational videos directed towards their female audience that taught them different things that they could find useful, well, as women. Here's them, for example, hiring the Beijing 2008 Olympic champion for judo. And in this 12-minute video, women who play this game would be taught about women's self-defense. Here's another example in which a faculty member at the Mental Health Education Center of the China Academy of Art would conduct a workshop about mental health. But this wouldn't just be limited to a woman's needs. Paper Games, being a Chinese developer, would also take this as an opportunity to teach their massive global audience about Chinese culture. Like how in this video, the director of Heritage Protection
nice.
Division would teach the Love and Deepspace audience about China's cultural heritage. Them using the game's revenue to fund things like this made many women express the fact that this wasn't just a community or a developer, this was a safe space specifically for women. You can see this expressed in so many of these different comments. I'm not really making it up. There are people saying that they're literally crying watching the self-defense video. And this comment right here, I think, sums it up, saying, "It's crazy and also super amazing how a dating simulator is inspiring me and others to take care of ourselves, recognize our self-worth, and even learn self-defense." This is what Love and Deepspace was for so many people. But unfortunately, as time went on, this priceless relationship built on trust would start having cracks form in its foundation due to bad decisions made by the developer, mostly relating to the game itself. What do I mean by this? Well, let's go back to the example of Genshin Impact. It makes a lot of money and...
Yeah, it's an addiction. Yeah. Otome games, gacha games, they're all an addiction. Especially otomes that incorporate gacha into it. It's an addiction, and as someone who is still going for an addiction and trying not to relapse back into hell again, it's not good! Now, I don't have an addiction to otome games or gacha games or anything like that. I have a completely different addiction, but it can still borderline onto the same effect, especially with, like, otome games. Not exactly, but, like, borderline. Especially of how, specifically Love and Deepspace works. Otome games like that. I have an addiction, not to otome games, but something similar.
In return, it's meant to give you constant updates. One update typically lasts for 40 days.
I'm just gonna say that, right? Because you know what? Fuck it, we both. I'm not a pussy. I'm not gonna hide it. I'm not gonna hide my issues. I specifically am trying not to relapse back into AI chatbot roleplays. You know what I mean? Not like the AI chatbots like Grok and shit like that. I've never used those. But specifically stuff like character AI, janitor AI, stuff like that. Again, funnily enough, my ex-friend, the gacha, the fucking Genshin Impact fanatic, that crazy motherfucker? My ex-friend was the exact person who introduced me to this sort of thing, and I feel like if it weren't for my friend my ex-friend introducing it to me, I probably would have never have touched it. I probably would have only heard of it with like how bad it is. But no, my ex-friend had to introduce it to me before we learned how fucking horrible they all are. So yeah, that's another reason why I don't like my ex-friend. My ex-friend kinda helped fuck up my life.
Then the next update comes along with new events and, more importantly, new story, advancing the plot that everyone's playing the game for. Every update would also typically have 2 brand new characters that you can pull for. And every year, you'd have a major update that would introduce an entirely new region. Now, as I mentioned before, Love and Deepspace does have a story mode. You'd have story segments that are in 3D. It's like a 3D visual novel, right? With
what in the fucking Detroit Become Human was that chick wearing? That outfit is giving Detroit Become Human. I don't understand why. It just is.
To have a story mode. You'd have story segments that are in 3D. It's like a 3D visual novel, right? With cutscenes and voice acting. And you'd also have combat. This is easily, by far, the most important aspect of the game. Story is what allows you to meet the new love interests that release, while also advancing the plot with them in it. because they interact with each other as well. They have stories that tie in together and they know each other, sometimes being friends. So while yes, many players get very excited about pulling for a banner because it involves a raunchy cutscene, if you had to ask them whether they prefer getting a banner of their favorite love interest or more story, the majority of them would always choose more story. But by 2025, it seemed evident that both banners and story content were just not meeting expectations. They weren't necessarily releasing fast enough for a game of this caliber, making this much money. And multiple complaints will start arising within the community that the scheduling is too inconsistent and the communication is just non-existent. Genshin Impact had a new update every 40 days. That was well established. Other gachas functioned very similarly. It was simply the industry standard. But with Love and Deepspace, it seemed like they just released things on a whim, like as if they were winging it.
Me with my upload
banners,
schedule.
right, the ones that you had to pull for within a specific time frame, otherwise they disappear, there'd be mainly two types. A banner made specifically for one love interest, and a banner with all love interests combined. Now look, when it comes to combined banners, there's a lot of misinformation out there about how it works. I saw many, even Love and Deepspace players, saying that you have a 1 in 5 chance of getting the banner that you want. But that's not true. There's this mechanic that allows you to select the one banner that you really want and two others that you'd also not mind having. Once you hit a 5-star, you'll randomly get one of those banners. If you don't get your precise wish, the character that you wanted the most, then this mechanic guarantees that the next time you hit a 5-star, you will get the banner that you wanted the most. So regardless of how many love interests get added to the game, whether it's 3 or 6, the odds will always remain the same. Now I want to make something clear. Remember how I said that Genshin Impact released a major update every year which involved a new region? Well, the version of this in Love and Deepspace is a new love interest. A new love interest signifies a new region. It adds more story, more lore, more depth. I mean, it was just the best thing you could hope for. But by the time the 5th character came out, which was Caleb, a certain issue became very hard to ignore for the wider community. And that had to do with the fact that Paper Games now had a workload that they clearly couldn't handle anymore. More characters coming out with their limited resources meant that some characters would be completely neglected in favor of newer ones. And this leads us to my wonderful creation that I call the neglect ranking. I made this to really illustrate to you just how disorganized the release schedule of this game was, as if they were truly winging it. Now, as I said, the most important aspect of this game is story content, but for the sake of this argument, let's look at banners first. So as you can see, the most neglected love interest in this game is Xavier. His last banner was his birthday. This happens every year for every character, by the way. And it was 9 months ago. Meanwhile, Caleb was 4 weeks ago, and Silas was 7 weeks ago at the time of recording. Now, yes, you can make the argument that Silas and Caleb released after the initial 3, but is it really fair to neglect 3 of your 5 characters in favor of the 2 newer ones? What if you played this game just for Xavier or Raphael? This was very inconsistent and showed that there was no real release schedule that made it fair for everyone. But if you thought this was bad, then wait till you see the main story neglect ranking.
Oh god!
Here, the most neglected is Caleb, the most recent character. The last time he was in the story was in January 2025, 18 months ago. His debut arc when he first released. When it came to Silas and Zane, 14 months ago. And when it came to the most favored characters, really in quotations, most favored, Xavier and Raphael were in the main story 6 months ago. This meant that the last...
This is fucking insane. That one of the characters hasn't been in the main story for over a year. Actually, 2 of them. Actually, 3 of them. All 3 of them. All fucking 3 of them at the top have not been in the main story content for over a year. What the fuck?
Story content for this game was on January 2nd, 2026. We're now halfway through 2026, and there was no new main story content, period. That's without mentioning the characters that haven't been featured in the story for way longer than 6 months. So in comparison to other gacha games of the same tier as Love and Deepspace that make as much money, this was ridiculous. They were inconsistent with their release schedule and were not communicative enough about things to look forward to, about dates. And let's also not forget the fact that they refused to make a PC client for this game, even though their other games had it. But this was the game that was making them the most money. And so as I mentioned, this would be a recurring topic within the community starting as early as 2025. It would cause multiple dramas with different points of views giving their opinions on why it takes so long to develop the main story and release content. But overall, the biggest loss for this game were longtime players that had spent a lot of money on it, losing hope that anything was going to change. feeling like the money and time they were spending in this game just didn't matter. Like this money was being funneled to other projects, and Paper Games was simply not interested in making it any better. This would start forming a narrative that they were too greedy, prioritizing memories and banners and ignoring the story. It seemed like they simply didn't really have what it took to be this big of a developer with so much success. They just weren't ready for it, as evidenced by the fact that things would get significant.
Imagine, this is so sad. Imagine spending so much money on a game you love only to watch it slowly go down to shit. That just sounds so sad.
Significantly worse.
I feel
because
so
they would
sorry for
somehow
these people.
commit an unforgivable taboo.
Specifically back then. I'm trying to get closer to the screen.
In their own local market of China. A mistake so grave that it perfectly encapsulates the expression of shooting yourself in the foot. 9/11 is a
Where the fuck are we gonna go with 9/11 being the next cut? The fuck?
tragic event that would occur on United States soil on the 11th of September 2001.
I'm too British for this.
Known
Why are we
for the
talking
two
about
passenger
9/11?
planes that were hijacked full of passengers that collided into the two towers of the World Trade Center. There would, of course, be two other planes involved, one that would crash into the Pentagon.
I'm gonna be so honest. I was gonna say, I think everyone knows about 9/11. You don't need to explain it. But then I realized, no, there's genuinely dumb people. There's also literal children that don't want to learn or don't get learned about history at all, even in America, the place where this happened, to the point that I don't think literal children or anyone know about 9/11 because of how shit schools are. But then there's also just really fucking dumb people, so I was gonna say, you don't need to explain 9/11, I feel like everyone knows it. But that's also very hypocritical of me to say, because I had to learn that 9/11 existed from Jay Schlatt. No, I will not be elaborating on that. That's all you need to know.
And one that tried to crash into the White House but failed. Now, this was an event that happened over 25 years ago. And odds are, if I went to the US right now and made a joke centered around 9/11, everyone would find it funny, assuming I have good humor, except for those who were directly involved in those events, losing a family member, a relative, or a friend.
Yeah, that makes
Hell,
sense.
I could probably make a joke about Pearl Harbor, a tragic event that occurred during World War II. And again, the majority would probably not care. That's just how culture works in the United States when it comes to sensitive events. Nothing holds weight there for too long. Now, on the other hand, when it comes to East and Southeast Asia,
oh boy,
actually, you know
yeah,
what? Probably the majority of Asia at this point.
Yep, just all of Asia, nearly all of it. Yeah, if you try and make any form of quote-unquote joke about shit like that that's happened to them, whoo boy, get ready to be executed, at the stake, because you're not gonna make it out alive.
But let's just focus on East Asia for now. Tragic events, no matter when they happen throughout history, still hold immense weight even today. Their dates, their anniversaries, their names, they are ingrained into society, and
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna say it. That makes sense. It's a horrible, tragic event that's happened in the area you grew up in, or moved to, or live in, or whatever. It's a horrible fucking event, no matter how long ago it was, and should be treated with respect. It's just that for some reason, Americans do not give a shit about theirs when it's become specifically old enough, aka 9/11. But yeah, I completely understand why borderline all of Asia does this. Like, no matter how old it is, it's a really fucking horrible, tragic event that should be taken seriously. So them taking it seriously makes sense, because it's a horrible fucking event that happened. Even if they weren't in existence when it happened, it's still a horrible, tragic event that should be taken seriously. So yeah, it makes complete sense. I'm on their side when it comes to this. I am actually on their side, because it makes sense.
no one would ever dare joke about them.
Yeah.
This cultural clash can be perfectly illustrated during the meeting between President
God, I fucking murdered that man. Please.
Trump of the United States and Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi of Japan. Trump would make a Pearl Harbor joke right to the Prime
My model doesn't convey it at all, but I have the look of horror on my face right now. You made a Pearl Harbor joke to the fucking Prime Minister? To the Prime? I knew this man was dumb as fuck, but oh my god. I knew this man was dumb as fuck. Drown him, drown him, drown him. No hesitation. Drown this man. Throw him into the triangle. Throw him into the triangle. The triangle waters. You made a fucking Pearl Harbor joke. To the tear off his skin, claw at it, rip his fucking orange-ass skin off. Please!
Minister's face and laugh it off. This is something perfectly acceptable in the United States. This is passable. Takaichi.
Ugh. I know that man is a horrible, dumb, fucking heathen of a creature. Oh my god, are you dumb?
On the other hand, I mean, you can see the facial expression on her.
I don't blame her. I don't blame her at all for being uncomfortable, weirded out, just thinking the audacity in this fucker. I don't blame her. What the hell is wrong? Why would you do that to someone who lives in the area that it happened in? Why the fuck would you say that?
She was mortified. If she would have made a Pearl Harbor joke, or hell, I don't know, a Hiroshima or Nagasaki joke in Japan, she'd get impeached within less than 24 hours. That's just how the culture works there. And so, this is why it was extremely clumsy and stupid and tone deaf for
like, I understand culture differences and all. Culture, Westerners are different to Easterners. I understand that completely. But you just gotta fucking understand. Read the fucking room!
Paper Games, a Chinese developer, to release a lore chapter on April 2026 about the character Xavier, where they talk about human experimentation and other dark themes, while titling it Test Record A07.
I'm not good with numbers, but I'm going to assume that is not good. I heard human testing, and I was like, oh good god, I know where this is going. I don't understand what the numbers mean, but I heard human experimentation. I just know where this is going. I know where this is going. You don't even need to explain the fucking numbers to me. I know where this is going. Why the fuck would you do that? Are you on drugs? Are you on crack? Are you on cocaine? What drugs are you taking to be doing this bullshit? Because keep those drugs far fucking away from me if it turns out I have to do this shit when on that specific drug. Because I don't want to be fucking doing this on drugs. Are you on crack? My model is absolutely not conveying my anger right now, and it's just so funny. Sorry.
3, 1. Like, even if I hired someone to sabotage this company from within, they wouldn't come up with such a genius idea. When you say the three numbers 731 to any Chinese person who was educated in a state school, for example, they'll immediately think of one thing. Unit 731 of the Japanese Imperial Army during World War II.
No.
This was a secret research facility that was operated between 1933 and 1945 on occupied Chinese territory, more specifically in Harbin. This is where the Japanese would experiment on over 200,000 human beings
fucking god.
from China.
No! Prisoners would also be from Russia and Korea. Majority from China, though. I knew where this was going because I heard human experimentation, but oh my fucking god, it was specifically this one. No! Are you on drugs? What crack are you taking? Because keep those drugs far away from me if it turns out I do this sort of shit while taking them. What the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you? I am yelling. It is 11:40 p.m. right now, and I'm yelling, and it's near bumfuck midnight. Do I give a shit? No? What the fuck? What the fuck? Who does this? What the actual fuck? You're from China. You're from fucking China. This can't be a fucking mistake. This can't be an, oh, it was just a coincidence. Oh, it was just a mistake. You're from China! You should know this better than anyone else! You're from China! What the fuck? In the subject name? Record? What the fuck? No! No! No, 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 No! What the fuck? I'm so gobsmacked, I genuinely do not know what to say. I don't even think I can form a proper sentence. I'm just so fucking gobsmacked. Your company is in China. You should know not to use those sorts of topics and numbers combined together. You're from China. This happened in China. Or it was related to China. But my point still stands. You should know best. Not to combine together. I feel like if you had chosen another date, a completely different fucking date, you would be able to do the human experimentation for his lore, his story. I'm saying maybe, because that's, like, still a sensitive topic to talk about, especially of what Mujin's talking about right now. Like, I'm saying maybe. Maybe you could have done it, but you combined them both together. No! You fucking lost everyone with that. You could have changed the date. You could have saved your ass, maybe. But no, you combined them both! You could have chose a random assortment of fucking numbers for the record. One that, you know... Yeah, you only chose 4 numbers. You could have chosen more than 4 numbers. But no, you specifically chose 4 numbers. You could have chosen any fucking random number combination with your human experimentation law. But no, what the fuck? Oh, I'm angry.
It's to advance medicine, but in reality, many of these experiments were just morbid and sadistic.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into full detail because I'll get demonetized and age restricted, but you can read about this yourself.
Yeah.
I can give you an example, though. They'd have pregnant women in captivity in Unit 731, and those babies would be born in captivity as well. Those incredible scientists would come up with the idea to experiment on those babies, but not like any experiments. It would just be like, hey, I'm bored. Why don't we throw like a few babies in this frozen river outside and see how long it takes for them to die?
What the fuck?
I wish I was making things up, bro. This was Unit 731. This is well known in Asia, specifically in China, because of how horrendous it was. But it's not really taught to
Those
Westerners.
poor
It's not taught in
babies,
schools.
those poor mothers. Oh my god. Those poor babies and mothers. Hey, Uncle. Those poor babies and mothers. Imagine being held in captivity in this place for so long, and you finally give birth to your child, and you think maybe they're not gonna do such horrendous acts on my baby, and then they take your baby, and then they throw your baby into the fucking frozen lake for funsies! I would not be surprised if those mothers got some form of postpartum depression and just killed themselves. I genuinely would not be surprised, because that is horrible. What the fuck? You're a company from China. You should know better than anyone else. I just want to give those pregnant women a hug. I just want to give those mothers a hug. Like, I know they're all long dead, but I just want to give those mothers a hug. I want to give those little babies that never got to even grow up a hug. You know, I just want to give me their ghosts. Let me hug the babies. They didn't get like I don't want to be a mother, like, at all, but like, for fuck's sake, just let me hug those mothers. Let me hug those babies that never even got a chance to even just have a day or a week existing. Just let me hug their ghosts, because holy shit, this is horrible. And you're a company, you should have known.
In China, though, to this day, even in 2026, you say 731 to anyone, they'll know what you're talking about. There's a reason, many different reasons, that Chinese still hold Japanese people in very negative regard, even in 2026.
And you know what? Understandable. Understandable. They take sensitive topics really fucking seriously. That shit happened to them. I don't fucking blame them. Smite me down if you for some reason disagree. But I do not blame them. The human experimentation thing is just a horrible fucking thing to either go through or learn. That is what happened to your people. I don't fucking blame them, because I feel like I'd have the exact same thing go through my brain. Because if I grew up in China and I had to learn that's what happened to my people in the past, I'd fucking resent them as well. Because what the fuck is wrong with you? to be doing this for shits and giggles. And you're a fucking company. You should know better than anyone else. You're in China.
This is without me mentioning the rape of Nanjing, for example. And so as a Chinese company...
Oh God, no. Please don't go into that. I'm just gonna cry. Oh, having to hear stuff about people being raped, it genuinely makes me cry. Because holy shit, you had to suffer through that. And then you're continuing to live. Or you get murdered after. Girl, I'm gonna cry. I don't like hearing those stories because, oh my god, it just... No, please
to have
don't.
a lore text about human experimentation with the number 731 is just... It's insane. It's
insane. It's stupid. They were on some kind of crack that I don't want to be near. You're a company from China. You should know better. What the fuck were you smoking?
Genuinely insane. But when it first came out in April 2026, it didn't really bring much controversy. In fact, most people didn't even know about it or didn't really care. The reason why I'm telling you about this right now is because this is going to bite them in the ass very badly later. For now, though, the Love and Deepspace community was laser focused on one thing and one thing only. When is my story content going to come out already?
How did they not notice?
Ever since the game released with 3 characters, there's
those
always
numbers
been
are really
a coming
fucking
soon
important to them.
text on the
How did
bottom
they
right,
not know?
indicating that there's going to be more love interests to come out.
I'm intrigued.
And so when Silas and Caleb released, their updates were so major because they came with more story content, with banners, with all sorts of things. And so many were wondering when this 6th character was finally going to come out because this meant more story finally after a 6-month drought. Well, around the end of June 2026, the Love and Deepspace community would finally get an answer to this. And while this was meant to be a period of immense joy and
they got their update. There was no story.
excitement, it ended up turning into the biggest existential threat that this game and studio have ever faced.
Oh, is it the werewolf guy? Is it about the werewolf guy? I'm sorry, I'm just skipping because there's like a highlighted area. I'm not skipping, I'm just teasing myself. Yeah, it's Valco. It's the werewolf
opening
guy.
Their doors in 2012. All right, so it's now June 22nd, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Love and Deepspace players receive an in-game message telling them that they're about to witness a once-in-a-century supermoon, asking them to go watch a live stream that was going to take place on the same day. This really came out of nowhere, and it shows you that they're kind of winging it with their scheduling. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Something like this would typically get like a week's notice. In any case, the supermoon countdown would take hold. People waited with bated breath to see what this announcement was going to be, and then, all of a sudden, it was right there. A new character would be announced. Valco. Half wolf, half human. And as you can see by the chat on the global live stream...
Okay. Back the fuck up. Give me that mask. I want that mole mask. That is so cool. First of all, I love his fucking outfit. I love that fucking outfit. Great character design. Give me that fucking mask. I want that in real life. Huh?
Half wolf, half human. And as you can see by the chat on the global live stream that has almost 1 million views, the community was extremely excited. All of them spamming ow like a wolf, unable to wait to see him in action, both in combat but also the story, because a new character, as I said, signified a new region. So this was huge. However, in another live stream they would do shortly after, they would announce something else.
We're getting the kitchen expansion! Hey yo, we're doing a shorter live stream. We're getting a kitchen! Oh fuck, I have to cook for myself now? Ah, kill me.
Another major feature, which was the Home 2.0 update. You'd have a home that you can hang out with your love interests, and this time around, they were adding a kitchen where you can cook together with them and take pictures, etc. However, in the announcement trailer, they would use this sentence saying,
oh god, this is... oh no. I'm gonna get angry again, aren't I? I'm gonna get angry again, aren't I? I don't know what this is entailing specifically, but given the fact this is like how the Eastern side takes sensitive topics really seriously no matter how old they are, I'm just gonna go, yep, it's another sensitive topic. And I'm gonna get so fucking angry!
Never bathe in the pot. This was very, very tone deaf, just like with the whole 731 business, because the Chinese viewers, they felt that it was in reference to what had happened back in the year of 2024.
What the fuck? Man gets suspended death sentence in Shanxi? Shanxi? I'm definitely misspelling. I'm definitely missaying that. I'm so sorry. Shanxi? For killing wife by pouring noodle broth. You're a Chinese company. You should know better than anyone else. Why would you say that? This woman wouldn't have died instantly. That's a slow, painful death. Because she got scalded with hot broth. She wouldn't have died instantly. Oh my god, I feel so sorry for her. And the fact that this is more recent too. Oh my god, this poor woman.
Phrase bathing in a pot had become dark lingo online, referencing this specific case. For example,
oh, that's just disgusting. That's just disgusting. Oh yeah, let's make dark lingo over this poor woman dying. What the fuck?
we could tell someone, hey, go bathe in a pot, and people would understand you weren't wishing them well. So
imagine being this guy's lawyer. You just read everything and you just turn to him and go, dude, you are not winning this. What the fuck is wrong with you?
already this was causing a lot of controversy, even though a new love interest was just announced and it was meant to be something very exciting. At the same time, in Valko's trailer, they would also use yet another controversial sentence.
No! No! Third time's the charm, I guess! We'll get it this time! What the fuck? Another one? You've already done two! You did the human experimentation one, and you did the more recent one? What the fuck do you mean you add another one? Bird one like it's gonna give you some fucking lucky charm? This ain't the thing!
While teasing him, saying, invite the wolf in. In the Chinese livestream, they had used a Chinese idiom, meaning to invite disaster by letting an enemy inside your home. Seeing that his character concept involves him breaking into the female protagonist's home, that didn't help. What also didn't help was that his dialogue included, what's wrong with inviting the wolf in? Just peek inside and she'll open her door for you. So, combining this with the whole bathe in the pot controversy, some Chinese players felt that Love and Deepspace was packaging illegal home invasion as a romantic fantasy, using language that explicitly frames a woman's private space as available to enter without consent. So this
I understand where they're coming from. And while I can say he's a fictional guy, everyone, calm down, do you know how attached people can get to these characters? Do you understand how attached people can get to these characters in this game? So fucking attached. Like Genshin Impact levels. People have ended relationships over Genshin Impact characters. That's how bad I'm talking about. So while I can just say, hey, it's a trailer for a fictional dude, calm down, people can get really, really, really fucking attached to these characters. That I don't blame the Chinese community for going, hey, this is promoting breaking and entering. I don't blame them for saying this because of how goddamn attached people can get to these characters. I heard another reason of why the Chinese community didn't like this werewolf guy was because he looked too Western, and I'm just thinking in my head, what? That's even more dumber. That's a very dumb reason to not like a character. Oh my god, he looks Western. I hate him. That's kind of racist. Not kinda, that's just really racist. He looks Western. I hate him. Get him out of the goddamn game. He's ruining my vibes. That's like really fucking racist. Someone going, that's not racism though. Okay, let me flip the script. Let me flip the script real quick. If you don't find the fact that the Chinese community is calling the fact that he looks Western and that's why they don't like him, if you don't find that racist, let me flip the script. Worms of a game I really liked introduced a new character and I just go, they look too Eastern. I want them out of the game. That is the most obvious case of racism. That is exactly what's happening there. The Chinese community is just going, they look too Western. Get them out of the game. That's still racism, no matter how it is formatted.
This, on top of the whole bathe in the pot thing, went against the idea of this being a safe space for women, and it caused a lot of controversy as well. And if that wasn't enough...
God, I want that mask. Just give me that man's mask. I don't give a fuck about this character. I mean, I like his outfit design. I like his outfit a lot. But like, God, I just want his mask.
The Valko trailer that was posted on Chinese social media would get bombarded with over 750,000 comments, many of them very negative. Because many players would express the fact that not only did they not feel safe around him because he'll break into...
Motherfucker, all of the Deepspace characters are red flags. When you look into it, all of them are red flags, honey. Sorry to burst your bubble. All of them are red flags. And this is coming from someone who wants to absolutely date the lunatic cultist from Terraria. That's a boss that wants to kill you, and I want to date him. All of the Deepspace guys are red flags. Get with the script.
Your home or whatever, but they heavily disliked the way he looked, calling it too
Jesus Christ, that top one. Can it be released on the international server separately?
much of a Western look, saying things like, can it be released on the international server separately? And telling the developer either go offline or make it look better.
Either go offline or make it look better. This beast, get offline. I don't think they're saying offline. I think that's just a translation doing that. I think they're telling the fictional character to kill themselves, or they're telling the company to kill him. Because the way that's phrased is like a really bad translation of telling someone to kill themselves. Either go kill yourself, or make it look better. Or either go kill him, or make it look better. Or this beast, get killed. Pull the plug, as it were. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck this middle comment's talking about. Honor of Kings? Never heard of it.
It referring to Valko. Here's this comment, for example, getting 3
Please release it on the international server alone. I'm begging you. No obligation to support the new Western male lead. Refund and shut the server down. I'm saying it again. This is just racism. They're like, oh, he looks too Western. Kill him. Make the character kill himself. Get rid of him. Just because he looks Western? Just because the character looks more Western than they wanted? That's just racism. Sorry, honey, to burst your bubbles of community. That's just racism. For some reason, when you find comments from, like, Chinese users, for some reason, it could just be due to the translation of how it's done, or it could just be them saying it as is, but for some reason, whenever they comment something and it's in a negative connotation, it's just shit like this. They say it in the most brutal, sometimes borderline racist ways.
300 likes. No obligation to support the new Western male lead. Refund.
Yeah, the CCP is very Han supremacist. Their government encourages this behavior. That's why it's so fucking batshit with these comments that you see in negative connotations. It's why it's so batshit. Because their government encourages this behavior. And it's like, holy shit, you encourage your people to be borderline racist?
And shut down the server. With many also expressing the same thing by saying, just please release it on the global servers and leave the Chinese server alone, I'm begging you.
Just because a character looks slightly more Western than they wanted. I just want you to understand that. Because he looks slightly more Western than they wanted. Oh yeah, and then there's also this comment. There's also this comment that I just paused on that you're gonna absolutely sarcastically love. There really are so many Western white whores that you've fucking forgotten who your main donor is. Yep, that is just a straight up racist comment. Western white whores. I understand getting upset when a game takes a very sensitive thing that's happened in your country and then makes it really, really insensitive thing about it. I understand getting angry about that, but getting angry to the point of making racist comments over a dude looking slightly more Western than you wanted? I'm not gonna support any of you on that.
At the same time, very toxic elements of the Chinese community would sprout out and would start insulting Western players, calling them Western white whores while also telling Paper Games, hey, you fucking forgotten who your main donor is. You've forgotten who makes you the most money, us, the Chinese players. There will be some very nasty comments all around.
Okay, I'm gonna read all the comments. Only beggars would be grateful for free stuff, right? It should be African refugees. Hee hee. Reminder, this is over a dude that looks slightly more Western.
Made towards Westerners because of Valko being teased. But it wouldn't just be his Western look that would turn them off. It goes back to what I was talking about the community grievances that had started spawning in.
Yeah, the neglect of certain characters makes sense to be upset over.
2025. The whole idea about the inconsistent release schedule.
Just the
some
first
characters
two.
were getting main story releases and some others weren't. And for some reason, there'd be complaints about the fact that the gacha odds are now worse with a 6th character. Instead of having a 1 in 5 chance of getting the banner you want, you have a 1 in 6 chance. I really have no idea why this became a thing because I
that can
explained
get
in this video
addictive
how the
too.
banner system works. I guess we can call these people LARPers. And on top of that, there will be complaints about inconsistent story narrative.
I'm gonna kill you for that, Mujin.
LARPers became
No.
a thing because getting the banner you want, you have a 1 in 6 chance. I really have no idea why this became a thing because I explained in this video how the banner system works. I guess we can call these people LARPers. And on top of that, there will be you have a 1 in 6 chance. I really have no idea why this became a thing because I explained in this video how the banner system works. I guess we can call these people LARPers.
Posers! Posers! LARPing means a completely different thing. What you're looking for is the word poser. I keep saying the same thing over and over. We get it. They don't like it because it looks too Western. I'm angry. What else do you want me to say? Also, I'm the type of person to sometimes repeat my wordings to get my point across because some people are very thick-headed and stupid. So sometimes you have to repeat the same thing over and over and over and over again to smash it into that goddamn thick-brained skull.
And on top of that, there will be complaints about inconsistent story narratives, saying that Valko is a core leader of a villainous group in the story that has harmed all existing protagonists. So in a way, some didn't want a romantic interest that hurt the other romantic interests. But honestly, this was surprising to me that this was even a narrative because even in his own trailer, it's explained
Your glasses look like they're cracked as fuck, boy.
that Valko is the Eon Core Tech chairman, not having anything to do with Ever. So this was yet another rumor that spawned on the Chinese internet that for some reason spread like wildfire. Are you starting to understand why this whole topic is so convoluted? Like, I'm genuinely so
I'm sorry, I got distracted by like the words at the bottom right corner that just say, I should follow what the elders say. What the fuck is the context of that?
confused half the time. And on top of that, for some reason, I guess maybe it's a cultural thing, many Chinese female players feel like a wolf or a bear character is gay. So there were many
What? Guy. Guy. Let's go. Yay. The bear, I understand. Because there's the whole bears. For men, there's bears. So a bear character? Okay. I kind of get that. Where the fuck do you get werewolves from? Anyway, Guy, let's go. My man, my people. Let's go. Yes.
complaints that Valko was gay, actually. This was really something that you could find a lot on Chinese social media. And I guess the problem with having a gay character, in their opinion, was the fact that Love and Deepspace would attract gay male players.
I think there's already a gay men demographic in your game. I'm gonna put my hand on your shoulder and tell you what I say this. These are men to look attractive. Or not even just gay men. Bisexual men. Look at that fucking smirk and tell me this motherfucker was not made for women.
Gay male players, and they don't want that. They only want this game to be directed towards women. Now, on this extremely ratioed post on Chinese social media,
Jesus fucking Christ. We went from racist Chinese community to racist and homophobic Chinese community so fucking fast. All the male protagonists are heterosexual. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, and forever. Hi. Hello. Where was it established? Was it like written in the law that they're heterosexual, that they're straight? Was this written? Was this written out? And you cannot use the banners of fucking pussy as your gotcha moment because men can be bisexual. Boogly, boogly, boogly.
They would do their best to communicate with their player base, to calm any grievances they might have and tell them, hey, trust us. For example, this is them replying to someone that called Valko gay, saying, all the male protagonists are heterosexual, yesterday, today, tomorrow, and forever. And they would reply with things like, I'm sorry, after you've calmed down a bit from venting, could you please take a look at this wolf and give him a try? Please.
Hey, could you calm the fuck down from venting real quick? Look at him from a straight point of view.
Damage control was in full swing. But these replies would be posted on Chinese social media known as Xiaohongshu, and the comments weren't really impressed. They really just didn't like the character, and they didn't really like the direction the game was headed in. This was in massive contrast to the global audience, okay? Like, this is Valko's trailer that was released on Twitter, and it didn't just get 5 million views and a lot of likes. Many of the top comments, in fact, all of them, were very, very excited for him. It would actually be hard to find any negativity on this post. Unfortunately, none of these—
Oh my god, they gave the werewolf boy glasses. I thought that was a completely different character, I'm gonna be so honest. They gave the werewolf boy glasses. You know what? Fuck yes. Werewolf boy is a fucking nerd. Let's go!
players are local, okay? They're all outside of China, and the people that had a problem with paper games were in China. It wasn't all of them, but it was a very loud and toxic chunk of the community. So much so that they would take this to ridiculous levels, sending literal cow poop to the studio. Many players would go around the building and take pictures of themselves giving a middle finger to the studio.
Yes, because the middle finger is gonna do something.
Some that employed an amazing tactic used by South Korean crazy K-pop fans, which is also sending the studio funeral flowers. There'd even be a wolf paw in front of the studio meant to advertise Valko, and it would get vandalized. The police—
Okay, but like the wolf paw? Cool subtle advertisement. I would hate to walk on that path though. Casually walk it. Oh shit, I fell in a hole.
would have to show up and install yellow tape around it so that no one else messes with it again. And to make matters worse, someone live streamed themselves with a knife in front of the building, trying to make their way in. Here are some images, with a third image being censored with the weapon. I wish this was a joke. Here's a 9-second clip that was recorded in front of the studio that kind of shows you the chaos that they were dealing with.
9-second clip and it's just black.
After Valko's announcement, with someone just screaming insults towards the studio. Watch.
Oh, there we go. And this is what I mean by the whole, yeah, it's a fictional character, but some of these motherfuckers are too attached to this game, y'all.
And so soon after, this would start being reported on by international media outlets. And on top of all this, Deepspace would lose over 1 million followers across all their Chinese social platforms. This was a very big deal, and it was becoming uncontrollable. No matter what they tried to quell the damage, it was done. But that didn't mean they wouldn't try anyway. On June 27th, 2026, just 5 days after the initial announcement of
I'm gonna be honest, I usually read posts sometimes. I'm gonna be for real. I ain't reading all this.
Valko, Deepspace would make an announcement for the global audience in which they say, Dear Deepspace Hunters, recently the development team has received a great deal of feedback and many suggestions regarding the game. We have also heard your concerns about the team's capacity to consistently deliver high quality content in the future. So this has to do with their inconsistent updates, right? We would therefore like to take this opportunity to respond with the care that your trust and expectations deserve. From the very beginning, we have hoped to make Love and Deepspace a romantic world that continues to grow alongside every Deep Space hunter, a world filled with more diverse experiences and lasting companionship. This hope has guided us throughout the game's development and remains at the heart of everything we are working toward. The development of Valko and his related content is part of the long-term content plan for Love and Deepspace. However, we recognize that the way the information about Valko was presented did not give sufficient consideration to your expectations and concerns regarding the game's future content plans. As a result, many hunters have been left with questions and worries since Valko's initial announcement. We sincerely apologize for any frustration and unease this has caused. We have also heard your concerns about whether future content can continue to be delivered consistently without compromising on quality. Please be assured that the Love and Deepspace development team has continued to grow since the game's launch. The main story chapters you have been waiting for are currently in active development. The stories of Farspace Colonel Caleb and Onikinus leader Silas will continue, and a new series of Solar Slot memories will also be arriving soon. The development team will continue to deliver richer game experiences
So for real, I thought you said solar slop.
And high quality content on a consistent basis. We also understand that these concerns are not simply about the pace of updates. They come from how deeply you care about Love and Deepspace and the love interests who have been by your side throughout this journey. It is because you cherish every moment you have shared with them that you hope this companionship will continue for many years to come. For this reason, we want to make this commitment to you. The stories, companionship, and future of every love interest will always remain an essential part of the long-term plans for Love and Deepspace. This will not change for any reason. Enclosed with this letter are Deepspace Wish 10 and Empyrean Wish 10. Please log into the game before July 23rd to claim them from your in-game mailbox. Once again, we would like to thank every Deepspace Hunter for the encouragement, honest feedback, and support you have given us throughout this journey. We know that it is your unwavering love and support that give meaning to everything we do and guide us forward. In the future, the development team will keep working hard to bring you more high-quality content and a better game experience worthy of your support. We hope you have a wonderful day in Lincoln City and many more wonderful days to come. Signed, the Love and Deepspace development team.
Basically, in a nutshell, they folded to their Chinese community and will only be listening to their Chinese community. TLDR.
And so look, this was in reference to the fact that in this game there's currency. Currency you can earn by playing the game that you can also buy. This announcement for Valko came out of nowhere. Some people were probably not prepared, didn't save up enough to be able to pull for his banner, and they didn't really want to miss out on the memory. This was Love and Deepspace acknowledging that the announcement came out of nowhere and that in the future they would keep them updated ahead of time, while also taking into consideration that they should probably have a more consistent schedule that takes every love interest into account. This gave hope to many global players who might have had grievances with the game's development schedule, and many had a lot of optimism. However, global players were not their main concern right now. It was the Chinese players.
Yep.
And they were about to pull out a very dirty strategy to punish the developer into kneeling down and obeying their wishes, which is removing Valko from the game. And that strategy involves getting the attention of the Chinese state. And so, remember that good old test record A0731? Yeah, well,
You know what? That was kind of on them. They're folding to the Chinese community. They won't be listening to the international community anymore. And it's like, it's kind of shitty how they're like, oh, we're gonna make you only listen to us now. Fuck the international community. That's shitty. But also they had it coming. Neither side is good.
well, even though it came out in April, it would get brought out again in June during the Valko controversy, and so a new narrative would form. Paper Games is an enemy of the state, and they have a Japanese mole inside that is there to mock the Chinese people and their suffering. So within just a few days after Valko had been announced, this narrative would spread like wildfire, so much so that it would force Love and Deepspace to make a statement on the 29th of June talking about it, as well as the other grievances the community had. It would be posted on the Chinese social media website known as Weibo, and here's what they'd have to say after translating it through Google Translate. Recently, we have noticed many discussions circulating online regarding the game and promotional content of Love and Deepspace. We sincerely apologize for any misunderstandings and negative experiences caused. Thank you for your continued attention, and we will humbly accept opinions from all parties. To avoid such content affecting the gaming experience of our players, we would like to clarify and explain these issues as follows. Number 1. Date controversy in the world's depths. Harmony with Light and Dust. We received feedback from players that the Harmony with Light and Dust update on April 21st contained a number that could easily lead to misunderstandings. We took this very seriously and immediately conducted an internal investigation. It has been confirmed that the number is a fictitious date, a placeholder without any actual meaning, and has not been packaged in any way. We fully understand the potential misunderstandings that this random.
You're a Chinese company, you dumbasses. You're a Chinese company, and you're saying that the number is a fictitious date. A placeholder without any actual meaning. Man, what are the chances? Yeah! Such a coincidence. Such a coinky-dink.
Number may cause, and will complete the online modification as quickly as possible today. This issue exposed the lack of sensitivity among some members of the development team. We will strengthen training to prevent such situations from recurring. We will also further improve our internal review mechanism, paying attention to every detail to ensure the quality of online content. Number 2. Controversy
Honest to God, you should have been doing that anyway, but okay.
arising from some marketing copy. In the promotional material released on June 25th, marking 3 days until the livestream's countdown, the phrase, taking a bath in a pot, was accused of containing a suggestive reference. In reality, this copy was a teaser for the upcoming Home 2.0 update's kitchen gameplay, written in a non-everyday style to match the livestream's Strange Tales of Rules theme. So this is badly translated, but what they were saying was the teaser was like in a horror theme, and this was meant to match this horror theme. This is why they...
It's a horror theme. Okay. It's such a coincidence that they used such a specific phrasing that came to be after a woman's death. Such a coincidence, am I right? I'm gonna lose my shit.
use that phrase. It had nothing to do with that incident that happened in 2024. They would then continue and say, due to the widespread circulation of misinterpretations for this content, all related content has been removed to avoid unnecessary confusion for players. We urge everyone not to believe such rumors. Furthermore, the inviting the wolf into the house text in the trailer released on June 28th, The Law of Instinct, is simply a copywriting element related to the new male protagonist's werewolf identity and has no other meaning. We have noticed some controversy surrounding the
Okay, yeah, that one makes sense. It's just, hey, he's a werewolf. You're gonna let him into the house? See, that one at least makes sense. The other two have such massive coincidences of bullshittery that I don't believe the other two.
text. To avoid affecting the player experience, this text and all related materials will be uniformly changed to Pure Love Wolf King. And then in the last part of the statement, they would clarify, we don't make characters specifically for one audience or demographic. This idea that it's a Western male character is just not true. And also this rumor about us being an all gender oriented game is utterly absurd, ignoring our consistent positioning as an otome game. In other words, no gays allowed, okay? This is a female only game. Stop with these stupid rumors.
But hey, you definitely have gay men in that community. Bisexual men too, pansexual men too, every other men too.
They also defend themselves. As a Chinese company who have always considered this our responsibility and have never stopped promoting Chinese culture overseas. Like, they just took a stand here and reminded everyone, yo, these rumors are absurd. We do so much to spread Chinese culture overseas to Western players. You saying that we only care about Western players and don't care about Chinese players is ridiculous. And so this post would get over 1.6 million likes, but also over 200,000 comments. The top comment would be saying, I'd rather take Valco off the shelves, with over 136,000 likes. The reply to that would be, remove Valco from the platform. And another reply would say, our demands are, number 1, remove Valco. Number 2, compensate for gacha resources. And number 3, the production team should deeply reflect on their own problems and issue an apology, while promising to not add any new male leads. In fact, all the top comments are just shitting on the developer, saying that they deserve all the controversy going their way, and that this was a bad statement. Now new rumors were popping up. Paper Games was arrogant. They don't know how to apologize. They don't know how to take a step back. They're an enemy of the state, and they're not even apologetic about it. What didn't make it any better to Paper Games, honestly, is the fact that they would replace the 731 number with 611, which was another tragedy that involved...
Oh, for fuck's sake, you don't know shit. Oh my god, I'm gonna throw you into a goddamn bus!
Japanese forces invading the town of Daojiao. 3,000
Oh my fucking god!
villagers were rounded up and killed, and you know how stories go with the Japanese, okay? They're literally the evil villains of Asia up until after World War II, when they became the anime central capital of the world. I really need to specify here though, I haven't seen a single screenshot showing that whole 611 mistake. This most likely seems to be yet another false rumor created on the...
Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, so they didn't change it to an insensitive topic. That's good on them then. Yippee for that. Because no one's shown proof. They're like, yeah, they changed it to another insensitive topic. Where's the proof then, bitch? Show us the screenshot. It's so fucking easy. Just take a screenshot on your damn ass phone.
Chinese internet that spread even to the West. But like the other things so far in this video that you've seen, it had already spread like wildfire and created yet another rumor involving the CEO. Paper Games wasn't just an enemy of the state, the CEO also was. Why? Because he studied in a Japanese university by the name of Waseda University as an economics major. So he was the internal mole. He was the one who put 731 on purpose because he hates China. He's actually a secret Japanese citizen. But here's where things truly got out of control when it came to the whole 731 situation. I know, it already got out of control. They're being made to be an enemy of the state. How could it get any worse? Well, you would have multiple media outlets in China create articles in which they would attribute the number 731 with Valco specifically. You'd even have the news publication Beijing Daily, which is of course government affiliated, talk about this too, and talk about 731 and how it's associated with Valco. In reality, this was false. This was an archive file that was talking about lore relating to Xavier. But this misinformation had spread so far and wide because it was literally being talked about by news publications that many took it as fact. Oh, so Valco is not only ugly and looks like a Westerner and doesn't care about the Chinese audience, but he's also an insult to Chinese culture and China as a country because 731 is associated with his lore. That's false, and many Westerners...
The fact that it's with Xavier!
also were caught with this misinfo, believing it to be true. This was becoming a very big problem to Paper Games. I mean, these news publications were publishing shorts in which they talked about Paper Games' statement and were associating 731 with Valco. And other than just media publications, you even have associations, like the China Women's Association that is affiliated with the government, also make content expressing outrage at the whole letting the wolf in sentence, or the whole never bathe in the pot sentence, pushing the narrative further that this game is not safe for women, that it's their...
Yeah, the pot one is just fucking horrible. The pot one's just horrible. The wolf one just sounds like you're bringing in a dog, in my opinion. You're just bringing in a wolf. Hello, doggy. Are you so fluffy? The pot one. I can understand their outrage. Absolutely.
Enemy. They weren't alone in this regard, because there would be another association by the name National Defense Education that would make a blog post echoing those same statements. But believe it or not, things would get even worse. The people wanted Valco gone, wanted the attention of the government by any means necessary. And other than creating the narrative of enemy of the state, they would also do something else that's sure to attract eyes from the government at any given moment in time. And that is creating countless complaints to the China Consumers Association, saying that they got scammed by this company. Over 60,000 verified complaints were made in the span of just a few days. And honestly, it doesn't even matter if they're real or not, okay? This is a way that many Chinese people boycott or target companies that have screwed them in some way. Because at the 40,000 complaint mark, automatic safeguards get triggered at any given company. This means that automatically, the China Consumers Protection Agency contacts that company just to see what's going on. And so, with this unbelievable and unprecedented pressure that was put on Paper Games, even with them already addressing this and doubling down, kind of defending themselves, on June 30th, they would post a letter pretty much announcing that they were going to cancel Valco's release and not release any more love interests in the game for the foreseeable future.
So, like I said, they, in a way, because of the community contacting the government all over the place, they just folded to the Chinese community. They won't listen to the international community anymore. The only important people are the Chinese community.
As a reminder, it had been barely a week since the first trailer for Valco, and they were already canceling everything. So this is like as if Genshin announced an entirely new region and a week later decided to cancel the entire thing and said, hey, by the way, no more regions. The game's done. This also meant that all the story content that was finally going to come to the game after a 6-month content drought was going to be canceled too.
Yeah, I don't think the Chinese community realized that they kind of fucked up with that, because they were like, we need more content, we need more lore. You kind of fucked it over, man. You kind of you can't.
Could not have been worse for anyone who likes this game. To announce such a big update and cancel it after barely a week, this had never happened, especially for a game of this scale. This post would be viewed over 26 million times and would have over 40,000 replies.
Yeah, they did.
Many
They
of the
fucked
top
it
ones
up
were ratioing
for all people.
They were in utter disbelief that Paper Games would bend to such toxic and loud people in the Chinese community. This game was created...
Ooh, let's read the comments. If you really decided to cancel Valco because of some really, really disgusting human beings, prepare to lose all of us. You didn't even give him a chance. Worst company to ever exist. You're not listening at all to any of us. Valco was the only real good thing we were getting, and so many of us were excited for him. I've been so excited to finally experience his story, and you're taking him away from us instead of just communicating and addressing the actual problem. I think it says problem, but it just says show more. Why not keep Valco? Up the rewards, commit to no more future love interests, and actually releasing content for all 6 guys at a more regular pace, including free content. Isn't this considered consumer fraud? You've been advertising with Valco that caused people to download, play, and potentially spend money in-game, which is a good point. Just forget about global players then. We don't matter to you. Our opinions mean nothing to you. You should have never released a global server if you don't even listen to what we want. Global players wanted Valco.
To make you, as a woman playing it, feel seen and acknowledged. And yet, with this announcement, they had essentially told all global players, we don't care about you even existing. That's how it felt. Even though they were put between a rock and a hard place, even though they were cornered by what was going on in China, this still felt horrible for just about anyone who ever played this game. You go anywhere, whether it be Twitter, Reddit, any other place this community was present in, and you would see just the disbelief. They genuinely couldn't believe this had just happened. But honestly, if you took a step back, none of this really made sense. This was really overblown for no reason, and anyone with common sense could see that. A
Yeah.
huge chunk of Paper Games revenue came from global players, so how come they were just forced to bend the knee
I'm so sorry, I just want to bring this up. Related posts, and there's a subreddit called Love and Depression.
so quickly? Well, that's because they had become the worst thing you can ever be in the country of China, becoming an element of chaos. Okay, so let's get one thing straight. There was a timeline to this, and it wasn't always about being an enemy of the state or whatever. This had started out with consumer dissatisfaction about Valco, about the fact that he looks gay and Western and all that stuff. But then Chinese media publications would start twisting it into something way bigger than it actually was. It went from consumer dissatisfaction to women's safety to becoming an enemy of the state with 731 to Paper Games refusing to take responsibility, being arrogant. And eventually, because of how badly Paper Games was portrayed in media, this wouldn't just be about, hey, let's just cancel this character. This would be like, hey, you deserve more punishment as a company. You deserve to go bankrupt. And hence why they had become an element of chaos. So what is that exactly? Well, it's a term I came up with, I guess. But in China, the most important thing that has to be maintained is order. As soon as something goes against that, as soon as something interferes, then they become a problem. A great example of this actually happened to Hoyoverse back in 2021. The reason? Well, Hoyoverse had released a music video of Honkai Impact characters dancing in bunny suit outfits. They had not released it in China. Chinese players took grave offense to this and started calling Hoyoverse a traitor, an enemy of the state. Hence why someone tried—
You dare not give us the bunny girl dances! We will murder you at the stake! Give us the bunny girls, you fucking traitor!
to assassinate the CEO. Yes, it was
What?
the stupidest thing.
What the fuck? You do not give us the bunny girls dancing of our fictional ladies! We will plot to assassinate the founders of Mio! Give us the bunny girls, or your head be off your body. Sling, sling, bitch.
Imaginable, yes. But that wasn't even Hoyoverse's biggest worry, because people would employ the same strategy used against Paper Games, mass reporting Hoyoverse to the Chinese Consumer Protection Agency and creating a narrative online that they are an enemy of China. Eventually, this would prompt them to delete that bunny girl dance music video off every platform imaginable, while also releasing an apology. They would give their players some crumbs as a reward, while giving the Chinese players almost 3 times the amount of rewards, apologizing to them for doing this unforgivable thing. I had made a video about this almost 2 years ago, so it really shows that even a company like Hoyoverse is not immune to this. This was after Genshin Impact had come out, by the way.
God.
The way they were able to get past this without any issues was by apologizing, removing the music video everywhere, and having the CEO join the political party of China. This was him pretty much saying, hey guys, I'm not your—
Not even just an apology or something. Oh, they didn't just delete all the videos. They didn't just apologize. This motherfucker had to join the fucking government party so he could convince his community. What the fuck?
enemy. I'm not a traitor. Look, because when the government gets involved, everything
They are crazy.
becomes existential. And this is exactly what was happening to Paper Games. On the 8th of July, 2026, the Ministry of Public Security would publish a statement about what was going on with Love and Deepspace. I mean, this is pretty much the government saying this. They'd say, recently, an online game targeting female players has sparked widespread controversy. The game features a storyline where the male protagonist breaks into a woman's home late at night, accompanied by offensive promotional slogans such as, "What's wrong with letting a wolf into the house?" packaging the illegal act of trespassing as a romantic encounter. This kind of entertainment-driven, traffic-driven creative work disregards—
I would like to acknowledge that all of the guys have red flags all around them, yeah. It's not just this werewolf, it's all of these fuckers. You are not special.
public order and morality, crosses legal boundaries, and may ultimately endanger public safety. The safety of women living alone is a serious public issue concerning personal rights, social order, and the protection of women's rights, and it is by no means material for arbitrary adaptation or meme creation. Chinese law strictly protects citizens' rights to housing, and no one may illegally intrude. China's criminal law clearly stipulates that those who commit the crime of illegal intrusion into a residence can be sentenced to imprisonment for up to 3 years or detention. If a game packages such behavior as fun interaction, it may be suspected of promoting and glorifying illegal and criminal methods, which is not only a disregard for the authority of the law, but also a blatant transgression against the spirit of the rule of law. Even more dangerous is its intangible erosion of public perception. This creative logic that prioritizes traffic can easily mislead the public, especially causing cognitive biases in minors whose minds are not yet mature, weakening their vigilance against dangerous behaviors and seriously undermining
I'd be more concerned about the fact that they're like, hey, this is going to change minors' brains. Motherfucker, you can get porn banners in this game. Motherfucker, this is basically just gambling. What do you mean that you're like, what the fuck do you mean you're like, we're okay with minors playing this game and gambling and seeing porn, but we crossed the line at this.
The effectiveness of public safety education. I just want to point out that this game is not for minors, okay?
Yeah.
It's mature only 18 plus. But still, this was the narrative and you couldn't do anything about it. They would then continue. Some might argue that games are games and reality is reality. They shouldn't be confused. However, facts have shown that online game content that crosses ethical boundaries can seriously negatively impact the healthy development of teenagers. In 2018, 15-year-old Xiao Tang became deeply addicted to a violent video game. Seeking the thrill of killing in the virtual world, he brutally murdered his 23-year-old female neighbor. This tragic case should serve as a stark warning to everyone. You then have an image of Valco. So Valco was acknowledged by a government.
Okay, but like, can we see the report on this? The 2018 example? Can we see the report? Is this an actual thing that happened? Also, is that just a one-time thing? That entire example is just giving the same vibes as people when video games were first coming around. And they were like, oh my god, video games are violent. They're gonna make our children violent. Oh, no. It's giving the same vibes as that.
Agency as being a source of a problem. And then they would continue, the virtual space created by online games is never a lawless zone. Laws and regulations, such as the regulations on the governance of online information content ecology and the regulations on the protection of minors online.
Yeah, or, stay with me, he had killing tendencies already before playing any video games and played a game to fill that until he actually killed someone. Yes, that as well.
Clearly prohibit the production and dissemination of content that may incite minors to imitate unsafe behaviors, induce bad habits, or violate social morality, thus setting a clear bottom line for the creation of online game content. As of now, all relevant characters and storylines in the game have been taken offline for rectification, a move that addresses public concerns. However, taking it offline is not the end. Deeper reflection is needed. This incident serves as another warning to the industry. Any content production that deliberately blurs the lines of illegality, glorifies dangerous behavior, or undermines public safety will ultimately be subject to legal sanctions and public resistance. So here they were acknowledging that Valco got removed, that this was the right step, but that deeper reflection was needed, indicating potentially even further censorship now that the game had a target on its back. They would then end this by saying, to address the chaos in online game content, a comprehensive approach is needed across the entire chain of creation, review, and regulation. Game companies must abandon profit-driven motives and improve their multi-tiered content risk control and review systems to eliminate misleading and harmful content at the source. Regulatory authorities should adhere to strict governance, refine review standards, and resolutely hold accountable companies that overstep their bounds and violate regulations. Simultaneously, families, schools, and society must work together to strengthen legal and safety education for teenagers and safeguard the healthy growth of minors. The title of this, by the way, was Glorifying Intrusion is Unacceptable Even in Online Games. This was a disaster. Attracting the eyes of a government agency like this and having them write such a staunch article against you was the literal last thing you wanted as a Chinese company. You'd rather have your entire executive board get fired than this. Now look, the global side was already in disbelief, and I'm going to talk about how they did their best to fight against this decision. But seeing that Chinese media was talking about this and seeing that this article from the Ministry of Public Security had been made, many global players would start spreading misinformation. Like this person right here would make a post with over 2 million views in which they would write a fan fiction saying that someone powerful in the Chinese government got angered enough that now all otome in China could be permanently affected. Or how this post with over 1 million views would say that allegedly the dev team is threatening to leave paper games if Valco isn't reinstated. These things are not confirmed in any way, shape, or form. But this is what happens when the developer of a game is on a different internet than yours, using an entirely different language. But global players, as well as many Chinese players, weren't simply going to sit idly by.
Oh, I love how they all have like masks of Valco. Give me a mask! I want Valco's mask! It was so cool! Also, that wig on the person on the right, the one that's standing up, the pink one, is so cute.
And watching their favorite game get destroyed right in front of them. And so, a global movement would be born overnight. A movement that is unprecedented in terms of scale that I have never seen.
Coffee!
Barely 24 hours after Paper Game's very unpopular announcement saying that they were going to remove Valko from the game, a new topic would start trending on Twitter with hundreds of thousands of posts within 24 hours and millions of posts within 1 week. The hashtags Valko is loved and We Love Valko would go absolutely viral, and global players would demand that he come back home. As I mentioned earlier, this was overblown, and the audience for Love in Deepspace wasn't stupid. Oh, boo-hoo, he snuck into your home? Well, what about the other love interests? Silas kidnaps you, Raphael and Caleb...
Yeah, the other love interests have massive red flags. Like Mujan's saying, 1 kidnaps you, 2 stalk you. Caleb sees the player as a little sister while fucking said player. Xavier's bitch ass can't cook. What the fuck? Zane, you nasty bitch, you're patient. You're patient. Yeah, 1 character kidnaps, 2 characters stalk, 1 sees you as a little sister while you're fucking. 1 character has a patient-doctor dynamic, which already has some power issues. I love how one of the red flags for one of the characters is just, this motherfucker can't cook.
Stalk you, and one of them is your adopted brother that you grew up with as a kid, and then later on, when you both grow up, you're there just scissoring like chimpanzees and...
Oh, he doesn't even see you as a little sister. It's not like we have a sister-brother dynamic as, like, friends or something like that. No, you're both fucking adopted. One of you was adopted. You grew up as adopted siblings. And then you start fucking.
Heat. This just didn't make any sense. And while, yes,
It's
731 was a really, really stupid mistake, it was in the game for 2
Then it's legal. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's legal if you're adopted. Yeehaw. Sweet home, semi-Alabama.
months before people somehow now finally noticed and took offense to it.
Grabs
It
a
was
12-pack of
overblown, it
Let's
felt
Go.
staged, and it just didn't make any sense. But Paper Games had made their decision. They removed Valko and actually took this seriously. And so, the consequences immediately took place.
Holy shit. 1.6 stars. I know damn well that rating was super high up as well. So to get it to 1.6 this quickly is fucking insane.
If they thought that these toxic Chinese players were their biggest problem, they had no idea what they were dealing with. A huge chunk of silent Chinese players that weren't
In some
toxic and
countries,
crazy
yes, I have
would
no
be
idea,
very
though.
disappointed in Valko's cancellation. In fact, you can track revenue that the game makes in China, and while there were many people frustrated over Valko looking Western or gay or whatever, their revenue would only start taking a dip after they had cancelled Valko, showing us 2 things. The first being that they might have underestimated how many Chinese players actually liked Valko, and the second being that maybe Western players also underestimated how many Chinese players were going to boycott this game because of the whole 731 situation. Within just a week, they would lose 50% of how much they would usually make. Within less than 24 hours, they
England raising the standard. Nah, our standards are fucking broken. I said to my parents that I don't want to be dating someone that has my brother's name. And my mom just goes, it's not weird. Yes. Yeah, it's totally not weird. Let me just moan that man's name during sex. Let me just moan the man's name that has the same name as my brother during sex. That's totally not fucking weird, is it? Is it? Is it, Mom? Is it? No. Yeah, it's so fucking not weird. Yeah, yeah, totally. Kinda icky, but give them a nickname. I just don't want to date anyone that has a name of my family. Like, no. Like, imagine me dating someone that has my dad's name. And my dad's name is really fucking common. At that point, I'd just be moaning my dad's name during sex.
would lose over 100,000 followers on multiple platforms, and eventually they'd lose over 100,000 on TikTok, and would lose so many on Instagram that they would end up privating their profile. They would also get absolutely review bombed on the Apple App Store with a rating that's now below 3 out of 5. And on Google Play, their rating is now 1.3 out of 5.
Holy shit.
One of the most abysmal ratings I've ever seen. Hell, people were so pissed that they brought back a good old tradition that had occurred during the first anniversary of Genshin, which was not only review bomb the game, but also review bomb Google Classroom. If bad reviews
Google Classroom!
start reaching Google Classroom, you know that this controversy is massive.
Holy
At the same
shit!
time, you'd have a petition on iPetitions get made that has over 240,000 signatures to bring back Valco, and you'd also have a Change.org petition with almost 100,000 signatures now, with Change.org's own social media page making a tweet about it, bringing more attention towards it. One Love Deepspace player would take this even further and report the game to the Consumer Protection Agency of their country, Mexico, because this was a false promise in their opinion. This is a product, something was advertised and then withdrawn, which makes it false advertising. All of Love and Deepspace social media would get flooded with hashtags such as Bring Valco Back. Even their ads on TikTok would get absolutely flooded.
Not even the ads.
Compared to this, what was going on in China was nothing. Everything here was being absolutely invaded. And to show the developer that this was financially a really bad mistake on their end, someone would create a website in which you could enter how much money you spent on the game and attach a message to it. So
Holy shit. Is this the highest one he's found?
far, the amount of cumulative money that was spent in the past by players who chose to support Valco.
Oh, this is just all of the money in general that people have paid them. Holy shit. Over $15 million in general. And this is of the people who have reported. So it's more than likely higher than $15 million. Probably higher than $20 million. I like the close mic statement. I can cook, Joe.
Is now over $15 million. I mean, look at all these messages behind that huge number. They were screaming to Paper Games that they were making a mistake here. But while the frustration is understandable and their socials being brigaded was to be expected, what really stood out here was how a big chunk of the global audience decided to protest. While Valco haters were busy sending manure and other things to the HQ of Paper Games, the global audience that wanted Valco in the game decided to instead use their money for good. Some would fundraise enough money to buy a billboard in Times Square saying "Bring Valco Back," and this billboard crowdfunding strategy would occur all over the world, in New York, in the Philippines, in Malaysia, in Thailand, hell, even in Peru. This was them truly showing solidarity between each other, even though they came from such different countries and regions.
Holy shit!
But I mentioned this audience using their money for good, and that's exactly what they did in Valco's name. They would donate to a women's shelter in Canada and say that this donation is from Valco. They would donate over $44,000 for the Guangxi flood relief in Valco's name as well.
My God.
This was a place that was hit by severe flooding in China, and these Valco enjoyers were pretty much helping them out. You'd have 11 deep.
This is so sweet, and the only thing the toxic community could do was send cow manure and knives. But this is so sweet. Oh my god. Oh, this is what I needed after so much anger.
Space player that normally spent $1,500 every 2 weeks on the game.
What the fuck?
Decide to instead use that money to feed over 400 dogs in 3 different shelters, while again doing so in Valco's name. There are so many examples like this.
Oh, I'm tearing
with donations coming from global players for Chinese causes like wildlife conservation, or uniting to save an endangered species, or raising money over $20,000 for wolf conservation.
Even endangered species! Oh my god, I'm gonna cry! Oh my god. Oh my god! They renamed the wolf Valco. That's so cute.
Because Valco is a half wolf guy, and also donating over 100 chocolate milk bars to 100 kids in Indonesia, all while using Valco's name and appearance, making him out to be a symbol of hope rather than a symbol that threatened women's safety like in China. All of this was done in the hope that on July 9th, when 6.0 had come out, Paper Games would change their minds. They would still decide to release Valco even though they canceled it, and they would take this activism even IRL, because Love and Deepspace would have a booth in Anime Expo in the US. There, they'd have different cosplayers meant to represent every love interest. But unfortunately, it seemed like there was one booth meant for Valco that was cancelled last minute. So what did they do? Did they bring cow poop or a weapon? No. Instead, they'd go around asking people to pick their favorite lad by placing a star around them, and Valco would receive the most stars. This was, again, meant to showcase the staff that we want Valco back. But while they did make it to Anime Expo, on July 8th, they would start canceling different events that they were meant to attend. Like, for example, an event that was meant to take place in Japan, saying, after carefully reviewing the event content in light of changes to the in-game content, so removing Valco, we have decided to cancel the event. On that same day, they would also announce the cancellation of a massive event scheduled for Bilibili World, a huge event in China. And so by now, this was attracting all sorts of global media publications, with Jing Daily publishing an article titled, "China's top otome game lost 70 million hearts in 10 days. Hell, even TV news channels were talking about this too. And hell, even Queso would talk about this somehow. A chatter would tell him about the drama, Queso would look into it and say, Deepspace is wrong for
Oh my god, Queso actually looked into it after seeing a comment. So he actually learned about the stuff too. This is my man. This is my goat. This is why people love Queso. He hears about what's happening and instantly goes, let's actually learn what the fuck's happening. Let's actually do our research. We love this man. Queso is basically the epitome of just positive. I love Queso so much. I can understand why people love Queso so much. I'm one of those. I love Queso so much.
Scrapping its newest character, saying they didn't bring out the character because the fans said he was ugly. That's messed up. So look, all of this was meant to raise awareness, but also showcase to the Chinese government agencies that this game was not an element of chaos. It was an element of goodness. These donations in Valco's name were meant to spread positivity and goodness across the world. And to be honest, they did. Objectively speaking, that's exactly what they did. Instead of fighting fire with fire, the global audience decided to fight fire with good, with water. It was also done to show paper games just how much of a mistake they were making by listening to the toxic side of their fan base instead of the good side. The one that was willing to donate hundreds of thousands of dollars to charities in Valco's name was the one who was really being hurt with this. The hope was that on July 9th, Valco would still somehow show up when they would open the app after updating. But unfortunately for them, that day would end up being the darkest in this community's history.
God, what happened?
On July 9th, 2026, the 6.0 update would come out for Deepspace. Many players downloaded it hoping to open the app and find Valco waiting for them there. Instead, they found nothing. No Valco, no new main story, just the new kitchen feature, and that was just about it. Some people would have issues downloading this update, and so Deepspace would make this post saying, today's update has concluded, while giving some pointers as to how to fix these errors, like reinstalling the game, for example. This would be the last post on their socials up until mid-July. And so everyone would take out their grievances right here.
Trust me!
17,000 replies. Again, ratioed multiple times with people in complete disbelief. How could you? Instead of listening to the good side of the community, people who are willing to put money where their mouth is and donate to good causes in Valco's name, how could you listen to the toxic people who send you literal cow shit to your offices?
Yeah,
the global
what the
players
fuck?
felt like someone had put a knife in their back.
I know the
And
government
what
is
didn't help
threatening,
was
but
that this update was extremely buggy. I mean, there
I was gonna say something, and then whatever the fuck I was gonna say in my brain just evaporated instantly the moment I saw this man's hair.
a knife in their back. And what didn't
The moment I saw this man's hair, whatever the fuck I was gonna say just fucking vanished. Oh god. This is the shit that happens to tit physics on a really crappy 3D model. This is I fucking breathe. ADHD for the win, let's go. Why is his hair like that? Why does his hair remind me of my cat's fur when you stroke it the wrong way?
help was that this update was extremely buggy. I mean,
This man got no head. It's like the one fucking meme. No head, then? No head? Aww. So no head? It's like the tip of a pencil. It's got the tip of a pencil.
there are certain things in here that my nightmares.
be the load-bearing component of the video game. He's the fucking coconut. He's the coconut PNG. The fucking eyes. I'm laughing so hard my mic isn't catching it sometimes. Oh my god. That motherfucker has seen God. That motherfucker has seen God. He's seen some boobs up in the sky. He's seen God's titties. That good shit finally hits.
Wouldn't even be able to conjure up.
What in the meat canyon am I looking at right now? I can't fucking breathe. I can't fucking breathe. The type of shit that meat canyon would make to make fun of something. When you look at him pretending you not. His hair. Look at his hair. You can barely see it, but it's there. I'm fucking losing it. I think the thing that made me laugh even harder than I should have is the fact that I was about to say, please tell me there's more. I need to see more, and this thing just appears on my screen. I can't fucking breathe. Oh my god, please say there's more. I need to see more. Tomorrow's paper streamer dies from clips on stream.
Like, what is this? Like, what the fuck is this? Like, how?
This is the shit that happens when you're standing in a pool. Your body just becomes so much shorter. That's not even his feet. That's his hands. Oh my god, that's his hands. That's not even his feet. Oh my god. Breathe. Bro is hand walking. He's hand standing, but now he's hand walking. Oh my god. It's like a busted up mannequin.
How does this even happen? Like, I don't even know, like, what kind
There's
of
more,
code,
right?
What, like,
Please tell me there's
how does this
more.
even occur?
Please
Here's
tell
my
me.
favorite.
Oh my god, what in the Sims am I looking at here? Even the food looks like it came from the Sims. Oh my god. I can't take this seriously. Oh my god. Oh my god, what's the glitch with this one?
Glitch personally.
Oh my god. Oh shit. Your food kind of smells good. Let me take a little sample real quick. Yoink. Oh, let me try it real quick. Yoink. Shit, let me take a little bite real quick. a little peck. A little snack. Just a single leaf. Just a crumb. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is a Sims glitch. This is the type of glitch you'd see in The Sims. Oh my god. Pass the salt, fine bitch, I'll get Give me the fucking salt, you hoe. This is a Sims glitch. Oh my god.
Like, what the fuck is that? Anyway, The first
No, I want to see more. I want to see more deep space glitches. That was so funny. I need to see more. That was comedy gold.
thing that players did after not seeing Valko was go to the love interest character selection screen and see whether the whole coming soon text was still there. And to their extreme disappointment, it wasn't. It seemed like Paper Games was intent on the promise of no more new characters. This was the
Aw.
worst possible news for just about any player. The community was
Oh, I'm so sorry. I laughed so hard at those. I think I'm a little bit lightheaded. Oh my god. That was comedy gold. I need more of those. That's like... That's sim glitches on a whole nother level of sim glitches. Holy shit.
devastated. This was a character they were very excited for, that they couldn't wait to interact with,
Look at how
and
silly he
was gone
looks.
as quickly as he had arrived to their lives.
Oh boy.
Slowly but surely, any remaining hope players had was being removed right in front of them. Like, for example, the Valko channel and the Love and Deepspace official Discord
Aw.
server would be deleted after the update would go live. And after all this time, things were really starting to set in for many players. So we're just getting a stupid rerun of a banner instead of a new love interest, a new main story update, new cards, new myths, new poses, new interactions.
Oh my god, my throat hurts after that. Yeah, instead of a new love interest, new main story update, new cards, new myths, new poses for Wolf Boy himself, new interactions, we just get a rerun. Well done to you haters who are complaining about story and a new love interest. We are just getting another rerun instead of new lore, story, interactions, and more. Get the fuck out.
This wasn't just about Valko. This was the biggest update of the year, and all of a sudden, it's not coming anymore. And remember how people were now fearful of further censorship.
Oh my god, titties! Oh, men boobs! Oh, my favorite boobies! Oh my god, one second. One second, I just gotta... One second, I just gotta... Sniff. Sniff, sniff. Sniff, 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 sniff. Oh, fuck, I should not be... Oh god, that actually made me lightheaded. I tried to do a sniff sniff thing as a joke and that just made me more lightheaded. Streamer turns into sucker fish on screen. Officially, numerology in LADs has ended, or at least there'll be much more care taken with it from now on. A very important aspect in the lore and story has always been numerology, bringing with it many theories about what happens in the game with Ether. Thanks to this post, I realized they already removed the numbers from the outfits in today's Catch-22. This saddens me because it's going to affect the way the story is told going forward. I hope they're just being careful and don't remove it completely in general. What the fuck does numerology mean in this case? Are they all experiments? What the fuck?
Now that the game had attracted multiple government agencies, well, that's exactly what happened. All the love interests had a certain theme of an outfit in which they had numerology on them, numbers that signified different meanings. Well, they were all censored, or just straight up removed. Look at this, for example. It said 95, now it says gibberish. This was no doubt done to avoid any other 731 issues. And that's simply what happens when you become an element
The AI generator when it fucks up my numbers.
of chaos in China. Many global players and even Chinese players warned these extremely toxic and loud fans in China
Not the fucking Pikachu meme. Valko antis when the censorship they asked for starts affecting their favorites. Oh.
that any censorship, any removal of something in game will result in even more censorship. And that's exactly what was happening. What added more fuel to the fire was that some rumors would start spreading about the role that Valko would have played in the main story, like the fact that he was the one who fixed Caleb's arm, or that he's a friend to Zane. These dynamics between the characters in the story is exactly why people played Love in Deepspace, and there they were, having to watch it get confiscated from them. And so people started drawing up comparisons to another game made by Paper Games called Infinity Nikki,
That's it,
which
that's
I made a
just the
video
game I
about
was
around
on
a
about.
year ago. That game had sudden censorship one day, where its tutorial level, its actual lore was changed for no reason, it was retconned, and even though the community had boycotted the game for months and created a large movement around it, Paper Games didn't budge. That terrible tutorial level is still there today. And what was also interesting is that the update that removed the tutorial level came with a lot of bugs. So at this point, it almost seemed like it was a pattern for any game Paper Games had made, and it didn't really inspire optimism. This was really the worst case scenario, but bear in mind, not just for global players, for Chinese players too, even the toxic ones. This Chinese player here would make it very clear in a post.
Even the toxic ones. The toxic ones thought it would just affect the hated one, but no, it affects all of them now.
They'd say that with this outcome, everyone loses. More importantly, though, this game was a great outlet to promote overseas players' understanding of Chinese culture as well as Chinese success. Now, many of the players that were affected globally are not just vowing to boycotting Love and Deepspace, they're vowing to boycott any Chinese game. This player would go very hard on these toxic Chinese players, blaming them for halting the success of a Chinese company and therefore a Chinese cultural export, while also lamenting the fact that this game was pretty much ruined as well as its reputation in anything made in China. This also led many Love and Deepspace players to look forward to a competitor's release called Silent Whispers, another 3D high-quality otome game in which they hope to be treated better. This trailer right here was released 2 months ago.
God, that water looks so fucking juicy. Screwed a man on my screen. That water, delicious.
And all
Splash
the
me
top
in
comments
there.
are just people being like, use this fumble from Love and Deepspace to rise. Or goodbye Love and Deepspace, hello Silent Whisper. Because this game would also be giving them something that they wanted for a long time, a PC client. It seemed like they were actually listening, unlike paper games.
Oh, that's actually good to know. Hey, if it turns out to be a good game, if it turns out to be a good competitor, I may actually try it out if it gets to PC.
But, it would take a lot at this point to fully crush all hope that the community had for Valko releasing. One player would point out, hey, listen, when 3.0 came out and Caleb came out, he didn't come out on the first day of the update. He came around in the second half of the update. So in other words, hey, when the second half of this update comes out on July 17th, let's hope that we'll find Valko there waiting for us. What they'd end up finding instead, though, pure and utter disappointment.
Oh, it's gonna get worse. Please tell me there's gonna be more glitches, though. Please, 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 please.
At this point, Love and Deepspace Chinese revenue was doing horrendously bad, worse than it's ever been. On one day, they'd maybe make $200,000. Now they were making $60,000.
Their revenue went down so fucking much in China that at best, they're currently only getting 60,000. Well, currency conversion wise, $60,000. Textbook case of how to fail. Yeah, absolutely. Holy shit. Especially with how high quality this game is. That's just shitty numbers.
Yes, it's still a lot of money, but it's less than half of what they made before. This showed that the Chinese audience, genuinely, the majority, the people who actually spend money, were outraged still at Valko not being included. And these were the consumers that mattered. And at the same time, as people were hoping that Valko would come in the second half of the update, they'd get an in-game notice saying that actually the second half would have a heartfelt.
They changed the way that they announced things as well, because they don't have the budget anymore. I can't believe this is how Infold is going to start announcing things from now on. They might as well deactivate the official lads account since they don't have any use for it. God, this company is actually useless. It is just a fucking in-game notice. It's just an in-game notice now. Oh my god. Their budget. They don't have the budget for all that high quality announcement stuff anymore. So it's just shit like this.
Gift for Zane, a free 5-star memory in which you interact with him. Now, what's interesting is that the official social media accounts wouldn't make this announcement. As I said, it's been a ghost town since the 9th of July. It would only be an
anytime I gotta say my point across even better, I just gotta do this. I gotta make people understand my point. Add drama.
through an in-game notice, okay? So further making their communication style even worse and going against the promise that they made at the end of June saying we'll communicate more with you guys. What was really interesting though was that there would be this Twitter account with the handle Z with a Zane profile picture that would leak the trailer for this memory, something that was meant to be posted by the official social media accounts. Once enough people found it, the account would delete itself. Many players pointed out that they didn't like the trailer because the face of the protagonist, which is the character that you create, the woman that you create, would be hidden throughout the trailer. The reason why this is a problem is because many Western players like to self-insert themselves into the game, while Chinese players don't like that. It seemed like even with this trailer, they were still trying to satisfy the most toxic players in China.
Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. They're still trying to satisfy the toxic bitches? That's crazy.
However, even after all this, there was still hope because something positive out of China would come out on July 15th.
The copium is crazy.
Various media outlets would publish positive reports related to Valko. ones that might be deemed as government affiliated.
How much do you want to bet that these reports were paid for with whatever budget they have left? How much do you want to bet? Because I'm a broke ass bitch. And I'm willing to get a lot of money if I'm right on this.
To be specific, there'd be 5. The first one being Reform Network, the second one being Tencent, the third one being Business Daily, the fourth one being NetEase, and the fifth one being Phoenix News. However, by July 16th, 4 of the 5 would be deleted, and only 1 would remain. And that would be the one posted on the website of the National Development and Reform Commission, otherwise known as the NDRC. The 4 others would be paid ads, and it would be mentioned at the end of the articles. I don't know whether it's players wanting Valco back that paid for it. I don't know whether it's Paper Games that did.
I was right! Give me my money. Give me my money. Give me my money. I was fucking right, baby. Making a clear post so everyone who's confused can know what's actually going on. This whole article is a paid ad, and it was reposted on CFGW, which allows paid ads. They reposted the article from ZocoNet, where it was originally published, and on there it had a disclaimer.
Did that, but it caused a lot of confusion. The reason why this article was a big deal was because it was somewhat
Oh, fuck that. I ain't reading all that.
state affiliated, and it talked about the efforts being made to bring Valco back globally in a positive manner. It would say, with overseas players continuing to voice their opinions, how can Chinese games translate global feedback into increased content? As of July 15th, the main petition on the overseas petition platforms iPetitions demanding the reinstatement of the romanceable new character Valco in the game Love and Deepspace had garnered over 240,000
You need a
signatures
money
and
emote.
80,000
I do. I should draw that.
comments. Meanwhile,
I still need
on
to draw
Change.org's
stuff
game
on
petition
my
page,
Twitch.
3 main petitions related to Valco received 96,000, 21,000, and 5,900 signatures respectively. This 2-week-long cross-platform participation indicates that overseas users' demands have not subsided quickly despite the character's removal. Following the cancellation, overseas players' actions gradually expanded from petitions to fan art, charitable donations, and offline events. Unlike the initial comments and emotional expressions that emerged during the early stages of the game's controversy, the actions of overseas players have now continued beyond the originally scheduled launch date. In the comments section of the main petition page on iPetitions, some users stated that they were inspired by Valco to download, return to, or continue following the game, while others suggested compromises such as delays or modifications before release. This article will then take this further, giving us numbers, saying that 60% of the revenue from the game comes from China, but that the rest comes from global players, highlighting just how important their opinions are. This was significant because up until now, everyone's data points were all over the place. This is a privately held company and they typically don't really reveal the demographic portions, but seeing that this is a government-affiliated publication, these numbers hold more weight. And what really made Valco enjoyers optimistic while reading this article would be one of the final paragraphs, where it would say, whether Valco will be reinstated should be determined by Paper Games based on content quality, market data, and long-term planning. However, the continued growth of overseas petitions has provided a significant signal. When a character can generate signatures, creative works, charitable activities, and offline actions in multiple countries and regions, re-examining and product validation of them is not merely a response to public opinion, but may also be a repricing of global user needs and existing content investment. For a leading product like Love and Deepspace that already has a global user base, turning this feedback into richer content offerings and more refined overseas operational capabilities is perhaps more valuable than letting related demands remain outside the game in the long run. So for many Western players, this was as if the Chinese government was telling Paper Games, hey, whether you want to keep shooting yourself in the foot or not, that's just up to you, we don't really care. But you should probably reinstate him. So as I said, for many, this article was a celebration, like, oh my god, our efforts are actually doing something. And they kind of are. This article acknowledged all the good things they were doing, like these news were reaching China, which was wonderful. At the same time, it also see Chinese government agencies reminding people that malicious reviews, harming the reputation of businesses, online harassment, use of bots, paid accounts, AI-generated posts are against the law. So again, to many, this felt like they were directing this towards people who engaged in this behavior against Love and Deepspace, and that they were about to get in trouble with the law. This again signaled to people that, hey, maybe things are finally calming down. Some Chinese players would even use a VPN to get on Twitter to thank overseas players for the positive engagement they were bringing to the game and to Valco. Like this post saying, overseas sisters, without you all, none of this would be possible. Honestly,
That's
it was very
sweet.
wholesome.
That's very
It was
sweet.
wonderful how a community so large could work together regardless of borders or distance or culture. But of course, in parallel, the toxic Chinese players had a movement of their own. And there was coordinated effort on Chinese social media.
Right now, the Valco antis on Weibo are planning to collectively call the website to report these press releases. I'm not sure if they'll succeed, nor how long these news articles can stay up. All we can continue doing is not give up and keep speaking out. The fact that they're still going. The fact that they realized, oh my god, it's actually affecting our favorites as well. And they're like, no, we still don't want him. We don't want him still.
To counter any positive news coming out from Valco fans. But we just read a government-affiliated publication just highlight these positive things, so I don't know if it's working that well. When it came to Love and Deepspace though, as I said, they had a total media blackout. The only thing they had said ever since the July 9th update post would be a Facebook reply about winners of some giveaway or something or competition.
Oh my god,
Here,
not
they'd
Facebook.
indicate that they were going to post again on July 29th talking about the winners, while of course getting like 36 angry reactions. Does this mean that their media blackout will last until the 29th and then they'll post again regularly, maybe updating the community? Who knows? But so far, as I said, total media blackout, even with a new free memory coming out in-game, still nothing, and no trailer as well, of course. So look, overall, the ball was now in the court of Paper Games. Are they actually going to bring back Valco? Or are they going to listen to this disgusting, toxic side of their community and throw their global community that's willing to donate to charities in Valco's name under the bus? It remains to be seen. But honestly, seeing that they had made the terrible decision of removing Infinity Nikki's amazing tutorial and backstory and refused to change it even after massive backlash and a big boycott, I just don't know if this developer is capable of listening to the community on such major issues. This also might truly be out of their hands. This might be out of their control completely, but we don't have proof. We can only assume on what's going on behind the scenes, and I prefer not to assume. And I do hope that Valco is brought back to this game. If you had to ask me though, I'm not very optimistic, but hey,
No,
seeing
me
that this
neither.
community has been very optimistic and donating to so many amazing causes, you know what? I'll change my mind and be optimistic too. Let's hope for the best, because if that happens, it'll be a wonderful story that will be never forgotten on the internet. And with that, I want to thank my wonderful community for making this very comprehensive Google Doc about the entire incident involving Valco.
Praise the Google Docky. Praise the Google Docky. Praise the Google Docky.
With sections like speculations, a glossary for people who have no idea about the game and the different terms used, memes, Twitter links. I'd even asked them to do this. They just did it by themselves because they're so passionate about this game and the community. So thank you to I, Dea, Doc, Jin, Helianthus, Laurel Doll, Mimi, Ray, Red Rose, Sen, Starfall, Watt, and Woof. You guys are the best. And if you want to propose topics for me to talk about in my videos, or just talk about different topics with like-minded individuals, then definitely join my Discord server. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I really appreciate it, especially this video because it was such a pain in the ass to make.
Yeah. I don't blame him for thinking it's a pain in the ass. VIP 1 in China costs $600. For global players, it costs $6,000. I've heard enough of Iskra Valco. The CEO of Paper Games, everyone. The CEO!